Yes, it's not in the way, Trev. You're all right. Happy Friday. It's September 29th. This is the EST Hangout. Matt Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with you here alongside YouTube Trev and Dave Jamieson, who on YouTube, if you look on the side, I just have as a legend.
Legend.
That's all it is, just legend.
Yeah.
You are here, and look
that's one step removed from the late Dave Jamieson, right?
Stop it.
That's legend, and then we're so sorry to hear of the passing. But anyhow, that's great. Thank you.
I like that. But
That's an
look
overstatement.
at this jersey that you are now wearing.
Okay, you may think hockey has started. It starts when I bring this out. And I wear this like once a year just to remind myself that, hockey is near and dear to my heart, and so is this team. But I thought, why not? You guys are worthy, and so is your audience.
So this is a Seals jersey
It is.
that you have.
Yes, and Tommy will know this. This is not a cheap knockoff.
No, that's a straight up CCM
That's a
vintage.
straight up, yes.
Yeah, that's the good
Is that,
stuff.
Alec, when did you get that?
God, I bought this from a guy who used to run the merchandise, Wayne Courier. Do you remember his company? He used to do Oilers, and he did the Eskimos back in the day. He had the merch.
Yeah. I do know the name. That was before they went to Elite, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
So anyhow, that's
So you're not
I snapped this up and I said I'll take one of those. It's got the NHL stuff on it to make it official from Gary.
JMO, I'll ask you this.
Yeah.
Is that the California Golden Seals or Oakland?
No,
because
California Golden.
Okay, because I feel like they probably changed their look. Because did they have not like a lighter blue at one point?
Thought, it was like
Well, that's what the Sharks wore.
Yeah,
that was at the end. That was right at the end before they moved to Cleveland to become the Barons.
Right.
So they got out of this. They had the white skates, right?
Yes.
Because they were owned by Charlie O'Finley, who owned the Oakland Athletics.
Yes.
So he said, I want both my teams to look the same, dress the same.
That was like the Lakers and the Kings for
Correct. Yeah. So when they looked
green and
ridiculous.
gold.
And, I'd say.
And the
the
Seals,
green and gold
the
still
Seals,
works, eh?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, it works.
Yeah.
But that's also like Edmonton colors too, right? Because it's the Elks colors. Yeah. And it's the University of Alberta Bears Pandas color. And I don't know what it is. As I'm looking at it, there's something about the yellow, green, and white that looks so sharp.
Yeah. It pops, as we say, right, Tom?
That's
really
right.
does.
It does pop.
Complementary colors.
Yeah. Did you guys chop up the Oiler Heritage Classic jersey?
I like it.
I want to get. You're a big jersey guy, just like Tommy is. You love going to
Tom knows the stuff, and our friend Jack Cookson. I talked, but they indulge me. But I like that stuff.
Yeah, like you go to Chris Kramer or whatever.
Chris Kramer all the time. I've got the alerts and
I've talked to
UniWatch.
him,
and UniWatch.
Yeah,
absolutely.
I made UniWatch.
Yes.
Thank you for pointing that out.
But that's an honor, man, when you get called out by Paul Lucas.
Yeah.
So, what do you think of? Well, we'll start with the Oilers. We'll get to the Flames maybe a little bit.
But
your thought
I
of
thought
the
they
Oilers.
were. You know what? I thought it's obviously because of the game and the significance of it. It's a nice nod to the past, right? With the brown pants or tan pants and the tan gloves. Okay, I got all of that. That's been done before, like Dallas did them but it's a nice touch. But I thought there's some real thought put into the logo on the front and the idea of the number inside the drop.
Yep.
And the felt on the. There were just some, without making it ridiculous, because sometimes with these designers. In the leagues, I get they push it too hard.
Yep.
They try to conjure something that isn't there. But there's enough sort of historical depth to it that I think and people will like it. I mean, it's Oilers, and people generally, will clamor and lay down their money for it. So I think they did a real good job.
I don't understand the hate for it, the animosity.
It's the whole outfit.
Oh,
people aren't looking at the jersey whenever people say they don't like it. I think most of the time I've seen people talking about it.
Yeah.
They go, I don't like the brown pants.
Okay.
So it's not the jersey they have the issue with. It's the overall look that they have the issue with.
But let us not forget that the pants are not available for retail.
Right.
Nor the gloves.
Yeah.
Nor are, the socks. Yes, you could buy them if your team wanted to wear them. But all of that said, that you focus on the stuff you can sell.
Yes. And
do I like the silver helmets of the LA Kings? No, I think they look like crap.
$500 a piece to dip those things in chrome.
Seriously,
by the way,
Yeah, but the Kings don't have to worry about that stuff. Laugh all you want, but you're buying the jersey, right?
That's right.
That's what they worry about.
Exactly. I actually don't understand. Okay, I already said I don't understand the hate, but if you do look at the brown pants and the brown gloves, they're paying homage to the Edmonton Mercury's, who in 1952 wore brown gloves and brown pants.
Yes.
Right, because that's all you had back then.
Heritage.
It was pretty limited.
Classic.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Anyway, I think they're great. I really do think they're nice.
The only critique I have is when they showed McDavid wearing it. I don't know if you guys seen, but the the C's a little high, and it's like it kind of, I don't know, it seems a little high for the viewers at home. Definitely go take a look at that. I don't know.
It goes into the shoulder yoke.
Yeah,
so
right. And so it just looks a little. It's different.
to me, it's
but-
weird.
Yeah, it is a little weird.
But did they do
I can
that
get
in
behind it.
1952? Maybe that's why they're putting it up there.
Yeah,
More than likely.
Right?
I mean, look at the Winnipeg Jets jersey, which I think they did a terrific job on.
Yeah.
The one that they just came out with. I mean, they are looking to try and be historically accurate with some creative license.
Right.
And I think they did it. So good on them, and go sell some stuff.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You know,
Flames jersey. What'd you think?
you know, it's historically faithful. You know, that was the time when every team in Calgary was called the Stampeders.
Right.
I'm sure there was a baseball team here in Edmonton. They had an Eskimo baseball team,
Yep.
a football team, a hockey team. You know, back then, oh, wow, that's the name? Okay, call all the teams that.
Right.
It doesn't matter. You know, and no, it looks good. I mean, again, think of the context. Think what it's there for.
Yes.
Why was it created? It'll work. It's
Yeah.
not bad.
But Jamo, why didn't they bring back the copper and blue jerseys? That's I love that. It's like those weren't that nice.
No, I don't.
Sorry to break it to you.
I didn't mind them.
They are not that nice.
They
No,
weren't
but
bad.
you
They're very
associate
plain.
those colors with a time in your life,
Yes.
correct?
That's-
I do, but no, that was a hardworking team to cheer for. They didn't. Those years didn't really suck growing up in the late '90s, early 2000s because they were always in the playoff
Yes.
race. They always fought to the end, and they were that scrappy team, which is what Edmonton kind of is. You know,
Oh, not
and
kind
it-
of is. That
Yeah,
is
it is.
absolutely
So
our identity.
I like. It was way better than the decade of darkness because you know they would get to the playoffs every second year. Basically, it worked out, but you'd have the playoff push every year. They'd make some sort of trade deadline deal to try to push the team over the top, and then when they made the playoffs, they were largely
And they were
competitive. They won a
tough.
couple series.
That was a tough team.
And it was
Edmonton, tough
players
out.
you
Yeah.
could love, you know, from the Doug Waits to the Anson Carters, you know, the Igor
Mats
Ulanovs,
Lindgren.
Boris Mironov, all
Yeah.
of those different players that were there. And then that doesn't even, you know, that's not even with
Marius Tchaikovsky.
you know, Ryan Smith and all them. But so maybe that's where it comes from. But I like, I'm not going to sit here and say they're the greatest jerseys ever, but I don't think they were ugly. I think they were real. They
They're
were fine.
At the time, they were. I just there was a few texts that had come in throughout the week when the Heritage Classic jerseys were unveiled, saying, "Why didn't they go back to this? Why didn't they go back?" Outside of the Navy alternate, the Oilers have basically rehashed their jerseys 4 or 5 times in their last few jersey iterations. So they tried something new.
Yeah, that's what I
It's
like.
neat, and it ties into the hockey heritage of the city.
I was surprised. No, not surprised, but I was taken aback, which is slightly different than being surprised, at how people hated and how the players disliked the orange pants.
I was surprised by that too. They really hated it. They detested
didn't
it.
like that.
And JMO, they were supposed to originally have white gloves with those reverse retros.
Okay, well,
And that got tossed out, and they had the orange with the blue cuffs.
right.
They changed it on the fly.
Yes.
I love those reverse retros that were white.
The first, oh, I thought
Yeah.
those
And then
were
the
so,
orange
whole,
look in it.
dude. Those, yeah, the whole uniform. I was big on
players-
the orange pants. I love
The
those.
players
the
aren't
original.
hot on the orange, like
didn't like
especially when they brought in the bright orange jerseys. They hated those.
See, the thing I've always said about
ridiculous.
the Oiler jerseys is I can turn on a television and I instantly knew who they were. I didn't have to be fonted. I didn't have to, I could, because they were so clearly identifiable. And that's what I like about, I mean, that's why I like, you know, these colors.
Yeah.
Like when I turn on Thursday Night Football and I see those colors, I don't need to see the G on the helmet to know it's the Green Bay Packers.
Yep.
And that's what always strikes me is I know why it's all driven by commerce. When sports teams go away from their, like, that's what you're known for. Mm-hmm. You know, so don't deviate off that. Play with the look if you have to or you want to,
Sure.
you know.
I like though, like I'm with you. You should have your 2 main jerseys, home and away, You're wearing them 60, 65 nights of the year. But then I do like the NBA does it a lot where they have their special jerseys. They like the city edition
and all that stuff. Yeah.
And they do all those
are
different things. And then, Chinese New Year's, they'll, Lunar New Year's, they'll have the different ones, some of those teams. And I like that they mix in a few different ones each year. But then you have your main ones, which is also a far cry from soccer, which gives you a new jersey every single year.
Yeah.
The home, away, and the third, every year they do something different.
Soccer doesn't miss much, when it comes to commerce.
And this has been going back. This goes back a long
Inter
time.
Miami.
Dude. This isn't even. Did you see the Inter Miami season ticket story?
Oh, yeah.
So, for those that don't know, Inter Miami season ticket renewals went out. Mm-hmm. One of the largest year-to-year hikes in prices you will ever see.
Oh, how bad?
I'd have to go look up the exact numbers.
How bad?
Staggering.
Oh gosh.
I think I looked at yesterday. I think at least 2 times for the worst seats. I feel like if I'm remembering this correctly,
And done
the last seats were like
without shame.
no,
Yeah.
Like,
They're
we
like-
brought you Messi.
now
You're
you're
paying.
paying.
Here.
Yeah.
I keep counting. More, please.
Yeah.
That's it? No more.
Oh, yeah.
I love how you're calling it commerce. That's so good.
Okay,
It really
go.
is
It's
commerce, but it's hilarious.
So the worst prices this past year, the cheapest seats were $485. This upcoming year, $884. Your most expensive seat of general pricing was $3,600. This upcoming year, oh no, they moved things into the premium category.
Well, why
Oh,
wouldn't
they
you?
switched those around. Okay, so we'll just go to the. Yeah, it's hard to they've moved around their pricings and stuff. So because the premium pricing was all sold out this past year from this thing, but it was $3,600. Where's section A if I could find that? Okay, and then so that's dark blue. So I said $3,600. They're now anywhere. They split that section up. It's either $7,600 or $13,000.
But what I like about all of that,
That's crazy.
and I say that tongue slightly in cheek, I want to know what the letter was from the club president or whoever. Maybe it's from Messi himself. Maybe Messi goes door to door
right?
and hands you the tickets for that price. But I'd love to know the story. Dear Inter Miami supporter, right?
Yeah.
That's what fans are called, right? Supporters in
believe so,
soccer.
yeah.
Thank you for your past support of Inter Miami. Boy, we've had a great season. As you may have heard, we signed one of the world's best.
Greatest soccer player.
And as you'll note, we have had to increase your tickets. God, I want to have been in the room when that was written. Because you know what those are like, Tom.
Oh, yeah.
Those conversations with the marketing department
That's
and sales.
That's a letter that goes through numerous filters.
Oh, God.
Yeah. Everybody gets their hands on
Yes.
it. I don't like what you said in this, and we've got to change that word here.
But I will say this.
Yeah.
I've talked about this with Hernan.
Hernan Salas, by the way.
Yes, of the Edmonton Elks. He was on the Hangout on Wednesday.
Yeah.
We had him in the office 3 days in a row. It was great.
Nice guy.
I will look at the MLS schedule next year, and I will look to try to find a way to go see Messi somewhere.
How cool would that
Because it's a chance. And that's why, yeah, I understand why Inter's doing this. I understand why when TFC sent out their season renewals, the only team they included not mentioning TFC was saying Inter Miami's coming. I understand why they're doing that because it's a chance, even though it's at the end of his career, it's a chance to see the greatest, if not one of the greatest ever to go do it. And in this league, it's also really impressive to see what he can do against these players still.
Mm-hmm.
You guys are too young to remember Pele coming over with the New York Cosmos. And I didn't see him in person, but I remember all the lead up. He's coming to North America to play for the Cosmos, that first game. And then coming through, and he played in Vancouver against the Whitecaps.
Yep.
And it wasn't about the Whitecaps were playing, and they were a good team back then. It was solely because of this guy's presence. And it speaks to the power of him, in that case, Messi, now in this day and age, that they are bigger than their team, clearly. They are bigger than their sport, clearly. And you market it as, you'll never see this again.
Yep. I have no idea who anyone else on Inter Miami even is.
No.
No clue. And I don't really care.
No, nor should you.
Yeah.
He had more Instagram followers than I think like the 4 big leagues in North America combined. Like Taylor Swift is a beast. I think the few people on the planet right now that might be higher than Taylor Swift in terms of popularity, maybe Messi and Ronaldo.
Oh, for sure.
Wow.
Like that's it. Because Taylor Swift is right up there. Like I don't think there's a lot of people on this planet that don't know who Taylor Swift is.
Yeah.
She's bigger than the Shield. Well, what's bigger than Taylor Swift? Like I would argue maybe still Lionel Messi.
Yeah, I know when Messi like first came to Miami, their Instagram page like it shot up in followers. They now have they're more. It's like in the millions, which is crazy because it wasn't even like it was insane. Like just the effect that he has, kind of crazy.
When you decide that you're going to sign Lionel Messi and you're heading off in this direction, I'm guessing you expect for the kind of money they've invested in him that you're going to move the needle. But then there is got to be the moment when they're sitting there, the owners, David Beckham, and they go, wow, we did not see this coming to this degree. Like, there's got to be that moment, eh? I mean, how would you budget this? How would you
No clue.
accurately project that this is what's going to happen?
I feel like this seems pretty close to what I think they could have pictured in terms of the interest in Lionel Messi because of how big he's and just in that world, how big of a deal it would be for, again, soccer is the 4th most sport, in terms of popularity. It's actually past hockey in the U.S., not the MLS specifically, but soccer in general. I think we saw just how big that World Cup final was and the attention around Messi and Mbappe in that final. I think you could have foresaw this level in terms of the interest. I think the thing they couldn't have foreseen was how impactful he'd be on the pitch right away. And how he had these spectacular goals already. He's scoring every game. And then that, blowing up everything as well. I think that would be the thing that they're maybe a little more surprised by.
If you believe that I think you should believe, you must believe that he is the catalyst for that sport exploding in North America. Or he's going to be, I mean, there's other things that are happening, and the U.S. program is robust, and they're producing great players as well. I'm trying to think back. I go to Gretzky to L.A. As a catalyst for what that sport has become in the U.S. I mean, and specifically California, but it goes beyond that. I mean, the Gretzky effect is in Texas, and it's in Arizona, and it's all over the place. Yeah, where they go out and acquire the best player in the world, and the Kings in that case, and you think, yeah, we believe we're going to sell out our arena, but I can't imagine that Bruce McNall and Jerry Buss and the people involved at the time thought it would do that for the sport.
Right. Well, there's a second team in LA and Anaheim. Like, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah.
Nashville has a team. It's popular. Tampa, Florida.
Phoenix.
They
still have one.
They still have one.
And that's a victory on a level that still exists.
Austin Matthews came from there.
Sure.
Yeah.
Does that happen without Wayne Gretzky and the LA Kings and the Phoenix Coyotes?
Exactly.
I would say no.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. So, now, Messi doing that. Coming over here.
I do have a couple texts I quickly want to get to. 780-218-9999. Then a question for you guys. Sean saying, Inter Miami new season price hike, largest in pro sports history. Rogers Place concession says, hold my beer. And then Calgary Glenn saying, I love the brown gloves and pants back to the jersey. It makes it for heritage. Only thing I would change is for them to use sticks with a wood look to them. Again, that coming in from Calgary.
Yeah.
Glenn. Nice touch. Okay, so like I just said, I'm going to try to go see Lionel Messi next year. Is there an athlete right now playing? Now, we're fortunate in this city to have Connor McDavid and see him night in and night out in our own backyard. That is incredible.
But you take it for granted.
You do, but take Connor aside from this because we are lucky for this, and I think he could be the answer in other markets. But if we take Connor out, is there an athlete right now in sports you would love to go watch if you've yet to go see him? Trev?
Oh yeah, I'd love to see. I was talking. Yeah, I'd love to see LeBron. That'd be.
That's
so
a good
sweet.
one.
Yeah, that'd be really cool. I know Dusty would like that answer, so hi Dusty if you're watching.
Well, you don't know the story about Dusty and LeBron, do you?
Oh yeah.
Well, yeah, I know that he's pretty big on.
No,
right?
no. He
no,
went to
it's
LA this
deeper.
past year with the family to go to Disneyland and all that, and he bought tickets like 8 rows behind the Lakers bench just for himself. And LeBron got hurt. And didn't play in the game.
Was
Yeah.
that load management? That was a legit injury, wasn't
And
it?
it was
Ankle.
an injury. It was
Ankle.
because he was
Right.
just coming back
Yeah.
or something. And then
I remember that.
I'm trying to remember. AD, was he playing? I think AD played, but Luka, because it was against the Mavs. I can't remember if Luka and Kyrie Irving, if they both
good.
didn't play or one didn't play. But there was like a bunch of players that were out, and he's planning this trip, and he didn't get to go see like almost anything. I think AD did play, but so he finally got his chance to go see LeBron. And now he still has to go see LeBron. JMO?
You know who I would go see now, and he's still got lots of gas in the tank. I go see Djokovic.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Tennis is my first love, and so I would go there. You know, going to Indian Wells last year and being able to see players of that, seeing Carlos Alcaraz in person was amazing. But Djokovic, because you know the body can quickly break down, although his appears not to be in that group. But that's where I'd go. I'd want to see him.
Yeah.
That's a good answer.
It's a regret to not be able to have seen Roger Federer. You know?
Oh yeah,
Right?
yeah,
Like
yeah,
when you
yeah,
think
that
back
one's-
of that one, it's just like I wish I had because he was just so smooth.
I was
on the
watching
court.
him warm up. He wasn't warm up. He was coaching in Vancouver for the Laver Cup, and he just got out on court and was hitting balls. And there was some stuff posted, and it's just like, come on, like that's not human what you're doing there, and you're just dicking around out there. You're just swinging it, loosely, right?
How could you play 5 hours at Wimbledon and not break a sweat? You know? Like, that's what it looks like with him.
Yeah.
It was just so effortless, so smooth.
And speak 5 languages or whatever it is.
Absolutely, huh?
No big deal.
He's
Yeah.
amazing. Tommy, is there someone you would love to go still try to see?
Tiger. Just to
that'd be a
say
good
I've
one.
Just
seen
to say
him.
you were there. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's fair.
I saw Beckham when he rolled through town playing the
Yep.
Whitecaps at Commonwealth. That was neat.
Whitecaps, LA Galaxy.
I
Yeah.
got a Beckham story from that visit.
Please.
because we host the Eskimos
Yes.
co-presented that game with the
Yeah.
Whitecaps, and so they brought him in, and it was you remember the pitch was not pristine.
No, it was not.
It was pretty patchy, and
Yeah.
and so we worked on. Remember Bob Lenarduzzi and some others coming to our office and meeting with Rick Lawlisher, who was the president at the time, and now back again in that role. And after, so the game is going on, and it was cool to be around the machinery of Beckham. And like the Galaxy PR staff and stuff, because you've got the general PR guy who's handling the team, and then there's a Beckham guy
Yep.
who's assigned to, and I might have been more than one person. But so the game wraps, and they're down in the old Eskimo media room post game in the old dressing room, and we're standing around Dwayne Mandrusiak and the guys, and we're all in the back, and all of a sudden Beckham appears. And he's just, we watched him, so
Yep.
we know he's an actual human. But to see him standing like in our room
Yep.
and at our equipment, where Dwayne had all his stuff,
Yep.
and he's standing there, and the guy's getting pictures, and he signed a jersey, and it was it was very
is
cool
cool.
actually. But it's just one of those like, oh my God, you're real,
Yeah.
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 That's super cool.
So I had the good fortune of seeing him. I also saw Kobe in one of his last home games ever
Darn,
at Staples Center. That was cool.
for sure.
Yeah.
I was going to see Kobe 15 Grey Cup. Actually, I was in LA watching the Grey Cup in LA live. I got them to put it on TV,
That's
which was
sweet.
great.
Well, that would have been a reach, for the bartender.
Oh,
The
it was
what now?
It was. I was so glad that there was I think only that for some reason that Sunday afternoon there was only 2 NFL games scheduled or something. So there wasn't a lot. So I was like, hey, can we please get ESPN2 on for the the Super Bowl of Canada? And we'll put on a couple TVs. So it was. So I got to watch it there. But while we're watching it, the news broke that Kobe was announcing his retirement. Mm-hmm. And it came out that night, and he had the Player Tribune article. And as we walked in, they actually gave us printed copy of the Player Tribune thing for Kobe. So I wanted to go see Kobe was my LeBron to Dusty. Yeah. So I wanted to go see Kobe, and the fact that the one game I went to go see was also the day he announces he's retiring was actually pretty special.
Wow.
It also ended, and I'm really glad it ended this way because this isn't who Kobe was. This is who Kobe was in his last few years playing basketball, but not for the majority of his career. But the game came down to one last shot for Kobe, and he airballed it. And it's like, Kobe, you knew when he got the ball, winning it or forcing overtime or something, he's making that shot. The game I saw, airball. And I was like, perfect.
Well, I'm sure Tiger over the years has probably missed a tap in or two.
Yeah.
It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Don't you love the image of Iwanyk at a bar in L.A. going and trying to sell the Grey Cup to a disinterested, tattooed bartender who's is like, what is it?
Pardon me?
And you go, it's the Super Bowl of Canada. And they're like, okay, sure, whatever.
The selling point also, it's on ESPN too. So it's
They go, okay, it's got to be sort of legitimate.
Like if I was going like, it's on the OLN network, I don't think I would have had as much success. Also, if there was more NFL games, I think so. Like I would have been out of luck too.
Leave immediately.
That was Eskimos Red Blacks, right? 2015.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right.
So, and then actually in the end, for the final few plays, we had already gone into the Staples Center at the time. That's what it was called.
Yeah.
Crypto.com. I think, is it crypto now?
Yeah, it's crypto.
But I thought they went bankrupt. So I don't know if they're still.
I think they're still on the name there.
Are they? Okay.
Yeah.
But inside there was a bar there. The DraftKings bar was called at the time, and that's where me and my brother finished watching the game. I was running back and forth between that and watching shoot around and stuff. So.
You know what's funny? That Grey Cup, we were in Toronto on the road with the Oilers, and we had the night off. So we went to Wayne Gretzky's right by Rogers Center, and it was dead in there. Wayne Gretzky's doesn't exist anymore in Toronto, but we actually had a harder time getting the Grey Cup on in that place than you did at LA Live.
That makes no sense.
I know.
I feel like a great accomplishment getting an LA Live.
Oh, yeah.
But like, Toronto?
We go into Wayne Gretzky's. It's like the entire traveling media crew, some of the PR team from the Oilers, and we're like, hey, like nobody's in here. We've got like 12 people. We'd like to watch the Grey Cup. And the guy's like, what?
Yeah.
We'd like to watch the Grey Cup. It's today? We're like, yeah, man. What channel is it on? Well, TSN, the channel that's only been on for 10 years in a row. And he's like, oh, okay, I guess I'll put it on. I'm like, there's nothing else. There's like an Anaheim Ducks, Dallas Stars game. Like, it's just crap. Like, and
you know what I like about
really
making a
Grey Cup?
request at a sports bar to change the programming is how few people on the staff actually know how to work the equipment.
I know.
Yes.
And you go, hey, listen, you make
Eric loves it.
and you make the old, okay, there's a Birmingham Barracudas San Antonio Texans game on. I'd really like to see it, and they go, okay, and then the server, heads off, and then there's a conversation behind the bar, and there's a lot of looking, and then they pull out 7 remotes. And then it's a lot of pointing, clicking,
the wrong TV.
and at the wrong TV, and then something odd comes up on, that like a Kevin James movie appears, and you're like, oh
Paul
no,
Blart.
and then
They come back and go, what channel again was it?
yeah, and then there's like,
I just want to be like, give me the remote. Just give it to me.
yeah.
It's not. Yeah,
You're behind the bar at Boston Pizza.
It's not Rocket Appliances, and I was always the guy. They're like, Trevor, we need to change the channel. I'm like, oh my gosh. Okay, everyone, follow me. Like, it's not hard. Okay, there's one remote. We have one remote. But for
And then you have to
reason,
write it out.
I was the guy. And after, I kind of, it gets stressful when you're the only guy that knows how to operate all the TVs. But it's not hard. It's really not that hard. It's one button. So,
we had an assistant coach for the Eskimos, Kevin Strasser, who was a receivers coach, an offensive guy, and from LA, like went to Hollywood, like LA,
Straight
LA,
up. Yeah.
Okay. And he is working late, as coaches often are back in the day in downtown inner city Edmonton, and he thinks, God, I could really go for a bite to eat. Just going to step out here. Didn't know the area.
Oh boy, I feel like I know where this is going.
Gets in his rental car and heads off seeking a sports bar in downtown Edmonton. Okay,
Gotcha.
and lands in a place that is, I mean, it was a stretch to call it. It's a rough place. And he rolls in, and there might have been the Memorial Cup on.
Yeah.
And so there's Kev in this desolate bar with a bunch of regulars sort of sprinkled throughout.
Yeah. Hitting
And
the VLs.
And here's this good-looking California kid pro football coach slides up to the bar, orders, a Bud Light as you would, and can I have a look at the menu? Sure, that kind of thing. And he goes, any chance I could get the Lakers game put on? And the look and the blowback he got, why are you not happy with an Everett Silvertips versus Laval game or whatever the hell it was? Or, the Oceanic or dueling it out right in the second day of the Memorial Cup. And they just went, we watch hockey here. Wow. And that was it. And he's like, JMO, is that kind of how it is here? I went, it's a hard sell to get them to take hockey off the TV.
I mean, even here I find there's some places that they won't even put a CFL game on. They'll have like a talk show on a sports channel.
To give them the actual channel too, it seems.
Yeah.
You can't be hey, can I get the Elks game on? Because I'm like, what game? The Elks, the team that's in town.
The pro football team.
Yeah.
Been around for 80 years.
Okay. And then they walk away and then what channel? And it's like, oh, just TSN. And then again, back to you. You just see the guide flipping and they're just trying to change it, trying to find it. And then you see it, but then they go past it and you're like, Jesus.
I know.
Come on. It's right there. And yeah, it's a difficult one, but somebody actually did text. I appreciate this one. You guys will not. This texter, 780-218-9999, asked the staff at Richard's Pub to turn on Big Brother. I'm so in love with it. I don't know if that would be fun to watch at a bar because you need the audio pretty well.
Yeah.
But I do like going into a bar and like, can I get Big Brother?
Make a random request.
I want to guess what bar Kevin Strasser went into. I was thinking he probably went into End Zone Pub, but you said he went for a drive.
Went for a little bit of a drive, just not close to Commonwealth. I don't know if this place is still in business, and I think I might know why. Oh, no, the Miller.
That's one that's burnt down, right?
Yeah, it did.
Well, sure. Yes, it did.
Yes, it did. It did ultimately burn down. That's all we're going to say.
You got a lot to learn, YouTube Trev.
Did you have any weird TV requests you had to turn down?
No,
or were you always accommodating?
I like to scout out. Depends on the people. I'd always be like, okay, if they're nice to me, I'll be like, I'll get right to it. But if they're not nice to me, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna wait for them to ask me twice for sure.
Yeah, we don't have the AAA batteries for the kind. It's locked on there, man. Yeah. That's a good play on your part.
On
I so wanted to guess what place, but we'll leave it be.
We can do that off the air.
We can do it off the air. I'm sure JMO will tell us.
Do you remember what it was called? Or are you trying to think still?
No, well, I'm in my mind, right? Because it's so many years ago. I used to drive by it to get to the stadium, right? To get to our office. So I'm just. But those bars, the End Zone Pub. Hey, do we take a moment to reflect on? I went there a few times. I did a thing. So Edmonton hosted the O2 Grey Cup, which ended in sorrow.
Yeah, I was there.
As John Avery, we sat Winston October, and we sure could have used a kick returner that day.
Or maybe stop Pat Woodcock from his 106-yard touchdown to 101 yards.
Yeah, but God, you know what? There's a player that had one. He's a good player, a good Canadian. One play, and man, did we overpay to get him the next year.
No.
Or we went out and just threw down a bunch of money. Remember the guy that got the 110-yarder against us in the Grey Cup? We should pay him a lot of money.
You guys won it the next year.
Yeah, but
because they had Mike Pringle.
Well, that's true.
The thing I went to, I said, I got to do this. I don't know how many Grey Cups we're going to be in. I don't know how long I'm going to be in this job. So I took the train to the game in O2, and we're hosting, right?
Yeah.
So I wanted to get the fan experience of what it was like to go, and it was early in the morning. Like I had to get there for work. We were hosting the game. So I got I took an early train to get down to Commonwealth Stadium. It has to be 10 a.m. by the time, or it might have been even a bit earlier, and the end zone was open.
Yep.
And I walked in, and people are into it hard, and that place is jammed. When you swing open the door and you're confronted with loud noise, the overwhelming smell of stale beer, cigarettes, and desperation, and and you go, knowing that the football game isn't kicking off for another 8 hours, and they are this drunk, it's like looking into hell. And you go, oh, wow. And, of course, I stayed for a quick one, right? As you would. And
as one does.
People,
Breakfast
beer. Take the experience. Right. You got to take it
and
in.
then I'm like, I got to get out of here. Like, this is This is a
not good.
hellscape.
Yeah.
So with Dave Jamieson, YouTube, Trev, Iwanyk, Tom Gazzola with you here on the EST Hangout, EdmontonSportsTalk.com, or watching on YouTube. I saw a video of what it looks like outside of Ottawa Red Black Stadium, TD Place, or whatever it's called.
Eddie put one up.
Yes.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of nice bars just right there that people were hanging out in.
It's a Plaza District
and
thingy.
Have you been, Tommy?
No, I've just seen.
Just seen? Yeah. I went to the old Frank Clair.
Yeah.
Can that be done around Commonwealth Stadium? Like if somebody bought, because End Zone was something else, and I think it's closed again.
Selassie's.
Yeah, is it closed or is it open?
I think it's closed.
If you redid that, like, could it be something, or is that area just not good enough to have a bar that would work for Commonwealth? I don't know the Ottawa area and how much is around there usually.
I'm just going to chime in really quickly because I have this really obscure fascination with construction in this city. They're building an area on the east side, on the other side of the train tracks. It's called Stadium Yards.
Yes.
And there's supposed to be a restaurant that's like the building is built and there's a new tower going in there. So there's this whole area, but you would have to go across.
There is a way to go across. I think,
there is.
Yeah.
So, but that we're talking about years from now.
Yeah.
And it's kind of not right there like it is in Ottawa. And then the other thing is, I know the Paisans aren't going anywhere. That Italian Church and Cultural Center, you stay the hell away from there, because I know my uncle was the first kid ever baptized at that church. My grandpa, my nono, built the pews there, so that's not going anywhere. And then on the north side where there's like a new part that's not going anywhere.
For that part of the city that I don't. I mean, who am I? It won't be in my lifetime, but it's it begs the question. If you were going to start again, let's say someone deemed Commonwealth, and there's a lot of life left in it. Is it too big? Yes, absolutely. There is no question. It's not. It's a stadium out of time. Not in terms of its viability, but it just is from a different. It's now an inducement to get big acts, big tours, and some other stuff. They've done some other programming and done a pretty good job of it. But now, in terms of what the needs are for the Elks, it far outstrips, what's necessary there. And then you get into the question in this day and age, with all the other challenges we're faced with as a community and more broadly, with the economy, who would want to build a 25,000 seat stadium?
Yeah,
that would better serve, and maybe there is a soccer application there and some other things.
I've already thrown out my story about that.
I think it's 25,000 is too small. Has to be 40.
See, this is how I envisioned his career ending. Alphonso Davies comes back to Edmonton, brings us a new soccer team, and ends his career here Messi style.
That'd be cool.
Oh,
and he's gonna get us a stadium done. I'm just putting this all on him now. I know.
Oh, Eric likes it.
Well, I'm just putting it
as
on
you
him.
would. As you would.
Get it done. Get it done. Maybe he could convince Bayern Munich to do this.
Yeah.
They'll jump in. It's just a dream. It's a dream. No one's paying for that.
No.
And we had this chat a few weeks ago, like where would ultimately be also the best spot to build that. The one place that did come up that is feasible would be the racetrack, the former racetrack. If you you want to redevelop the whole Northlands,
you have to tear down that.
The spot that would be great, but I won't fight for it because there's a baseball stadium there. Where Remax is one of the best spots you'll have in Edmonton for sports.
Yeah.
Have you gone to a Riverhawks game down at Remax?
No, I wasn't.
Oh, amazing.
One of the great sport renaissance stories, I think, in terms of what the Riverhawks did this past year. And I bought like a 6-pack of tickets to go to the games, and I know you guys were frequent travelers down there. What they were able to do restores my faith in sports at that level. And I understand it's not it's professional in the sense, it's well run and it's competitive baseball on that level. But just the connection between the team, the fan base, it's very homegrown. It feels very organic. It's cheesy and it's fun and it's all of that stuff. And it works, and there's a place for it. There's absolutely a place for it on the sports menu in this city and in other places too.
Yep. Riverhawks game. YouTube, Trev.
I hear they have
you're
some-
part of the Section I gang already. So
Yeah, I hear they have some legendary hot dogs. I've heard something.
they're
about
great,
the hot dogs.
and they're going to be
They're
carrying
great.
the new AM Nasty beer there. So.
Yes.
Well,
yeah.
we hope. So
We hope.
Don't start promising
Well,
things that
hang
we're
on.
not done yet.
Did I spill beans?
Yeah, a little bit. Or like we're still working on things,
We're
dude.
working on it. Hopefully,
Tom's thinking out loud and wishing things into reality.
Maybe
That's
they
the
come to
positive way to go
fruition.
through
Things
life,
that have
Tom.
to happen to get there. So let's not just start making
I'd like that
promises
scratch from the record.
on September. What is today? The 29th, 2023. Let's not just get too
People
far
tell me these things
ahead of the game.
I hope that it happens. Anyway, and then I just want to add this. If there comes a time, when the time comes for this city to build a new football stadium, hopefully bigger than 25,000, I don't trust the city to do it right. They will value engineer the crap out of it, like a lot of the projects around the city. And it won't be done on time, and it'll be sucky. I use the term sucky.
Clearly, a guy who got caught up in construction this morning on the way to work here.
Yeah, well, you can't miss it.
Everywhere.
Yes, I know.
Well, not today
I hate
because
it.
he was in early.
Oh, yes.
I was in early,
Yes,
but
We we missed the construction at that early time of day. Except I had two people almost basically run red lights today on me.
Nice.
I haven't had that
Yeah.
in this whole time. It was
How do you
It's a
guys
little weird on
like?
the roads.
How do you guys like working a morning run? Doing it like it's the more you're up at what 4
Yeah.
to do that
I'm confused what part of the day it is right now.
because you were
you're
not a
crushing
morning
beers.
guy. You were not a
I had
morning
a
guy,
beer. It
Maddie.
was great.
I am
No,
not.
I'm just
still not fully. Like
Yeah.
I'm getting there better, but it's a different world you have
Yeah.
to live. Bedtime a lot earlier than I'm used to wake up a lot earlier, and it's still not even enough. And so
I did all
It's-
nights, and then I did.
Yes.
I did all nights in Vancouver, and then I did early morning, like in at 2:30.
Oh,
and so
yeah.
you're in that kind of. You're in that weird. Do I go to bed or do I just muscle through?
Either one sucks.
And Bo, you're right. There's
Yeah,
no good
there's no good.
alternative.
Yeah.
And I'm sure shredded years off my life. Like you're always sort of in a confused state.
That's exactly
you're
how
sort
it
of
feels.
buzzed. You felt, and
Yeah,
there
you're
are
like,
people watching this who have real jobs. I get it. I
Yeah.
understand you're doing, and operating heavy equipment and doing, things that are actually contributing.
matter.
To matter.
Yeah.
But I always felt like I was just slightly hammered, a little bit high. Without any of the fun attached to either of those things.
Right.
Like I
like
was
the
just sort of this
after
glazed overlook constantly.
did you ever? What was the late shifts you had to work? Because you weren't at a like your bars like
No,
BP's. They're not open till like
I mean,
3 in the morning type
No,
thing.
yeah, like the latest would be like 1 o'clock maybe. but
Yeah.
That's
Why didn't Kevin Strasser go to a BP's? The lounge is great.
Yeah, man.
I'm worried about Kevin Strasser from 15 years ago.
I have a feeling he probably has done okay in life. I don't know what, but you're in the moment, right?
Yeah.
Like, hey, listen, there was a guy that ate an entire roast chicken at his desk by pulling it apart with his hands.
Yeah, that's weird.
A guest coach just
That's-
sitting there tearing it apart, and just eating it. Like,
We've got
would you like
utensils.
utensils? No? Okay, you go for it.
And I need to see if I can find what Kevin Strausser is doing these days.
You find it. But yeah, I'm trying to, because I'm thinking the Grand Hotel would have been a thing still at that time, which is now it's right by our building. It's now
not that far. Like
barbecue.
we're
That's the one.
talking.
I was trying to think what that used to be called. Yeah, the Grand. I
It
remember.
was awful.
We're
That's where the
talking
Oilers used to hang out back in the day when it was big.
Yeah,
the Grand Hotel over.
on 103rd
It was
Street, where the
it was by
Greyhound
the
Station
Greyhound
was.
Station, right?
Now
Across
it's
the
Crash
street.
Hotel.
And now it's
Church of
That-
John.
that's
There's
where-
Honey Honey,
Oh.
great tiki bar, by the way. My buddy
That's
Scott
where
owns
the
it.
Eskimos used to go.
Yeah,
back
yeah,
in the
yeah.
day.
I heard that
And-
Kepley and Messier had an altercation. Might have happened there.
Yeah, and you didn't miss those sessions for the Eskimos right after there'd be practice,
Yeah,
and then it was mandatory.
you had to go.
Mandatory show. Like you don't have to drink. Like you
Just
know, and lots
you
of
have
guys
to
don't.
be there.
You're there.
Have
and
the
you're present
wings.
and accounted for. You grab a pot.
Rip a dart. You're good to go.
You're good to
It's
go.
1982.
Sure.
Yeah.
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 I forgot this story about Kevin Strasser.
What?
By the way, I'm looking at a picture of a CBC article from 2013. It has a Team 1260 mic flag.
Classic.
You
in
got
there.
you're a little wistful there. I can hear it. I can hear it in the voice.
He was arrested in
Oh.
2013 after a bizarre theft in the U.S., where was accused of stealing a diamond-encrusted watch from a student, then pawning it. I forgot about that story. I remember it now, but I forgot about it.
So maybe not doing so great.
He was released on $15,000 bail and was charged with theft and official misconduct and is waiting a court date. I hope they figured that out because that was 2013. Hopefully he's still not waiting. And
Well, the wheels of justice can move slowly. I get it, but I would hope that it's been resolved and all parties have learned their lesson.
Yeah.
I completely forgot about that story, though.
Interesting.
Oh, that team has seen some people come through.
Like if you went to Tony's Pizza,
Yes.
that place is great. But
You know,
clearly
I've
he
never
didn't.
been.
No,
Oh, you
this-
have to.
this
I have
is-
never
this
been
is-
to Tony's Pizza.
Oh, come on
It's a
now.
jewel.
I know.
It's
Come
a
on
jewel.
now.
I drove by that every Sunday to go to church and stuff, and I still never been to Tony's Pizza.
No,
It's phenomenal.
That's worth your time.
When the chef, head cook in there doesn't speak a lick of English and only speaks Italian, you know it's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's onto something.
Oh yeah.
I haven't been, so maybe we can go, Matt.
Well, yeah, we can enjoy it together. We'll film it.
Get the
Yeah,
And put it on
sauce deluxe.
Edmonton
Oh, no,
Sports.com,
yeah.
and we'll do that.
Actually, not a
Content.
bad idea.
Yeah.
Not a bad idea.
We'll get
Always
into the food
content,
game.
guys. Create content.
Everything.
Yeah.
That's right.
This is what
In
we keep
everything
saying
we
that
do.
We could do whatever we want now. We've thrown out so many ideas over the last few weeks. Like we're apparently next year never going to be here because we're going to be at an F1 event and a road trip there. We're
Crashing
going to
Tim
Grey
Herney's
Cup.
room.
Like it just seems like any sporting event happens. Like, we should go. And
go.
we're having this plan of maybe
So
just
basically,
going.
you're becoming Rod Peterson.
Well, I would like to know his business model because now he basically lives in Florida. I mean, he's got the new like Panthers Lightning show.
Because that's what this world needed. This world and the state of Florida was begging for a Tampa Bay Lightning Florida Panther mixed podcast.
That's like
If
a
there's
Ducks Sharks
anything
show.
missing in broadcast,
Forget the Kings.
digital, traditional, that was the thing. And I'm so glad that it is now solved.
Thank you, Rod.
Serve the audience. And
Yeah.
maybe there is down there, we call Florida the state of hockey.
How many people in this collective we here?
Yeah, no, just me. I call it the state of hockey. I'm sorry, Minnesota. Yeah. The state of hockey.
Brian Hall
Yes,
said,
they
you
do.
know, that which is of the greatest interest, the greatest number of people, they stood there and went, this is what these people want.
And who am I to knock any? And I've known Roddy for a long time. I mean, God, he's got a show, and I've got
Yes.
nothing. Who the hell am I?
It's just, yeah, it's just funny when you see that. And it's like, aren't they rivals? Like, in quote unquote, like, isn't the Panthers and Lightning rivals? So, like,
There would be bitter rivals.
Yes.
As
why
much
are
as
you
you can
mixing
get
the
bitter.
two pods together?
Yeah.
I just
That's like, let's do an
Anyway.
Oiler Flame
if
podcast.
you can sell it and he makes
and
money and he's got an audience,
Oiler
then that's
fans,
great.
We're going to half the time keep you deeply informed on the Calgary Flames.
Exactly
That's
what
what
you
people
want.
are going to want.
Yeah.
Seeing as how we're rolling here on our Bolts Panthers talk, did it strike you as odd that Vasilevsky, we just get word now that he needed back surgery? Did that
No,
just
because
happen?
it's LTIR, baby.
Yeah.
Potentially.
it's
Weird,
right,
right?
I
Like, look at
forgot.
the franchise it is.
It's the Kucherov thing.
They just went through.
Yes.
Whose turn is it this year?
Yeah.
They go around the room and go, you, over there.
you feeling? What are you
When have
feeling?
you last been hurt? You are now. And you're like, what? What do you mean I got to undergo a
I
back
feel
surgery?
great.
I've had a great off season.
Yeah.
But now you've dealt with backs.
Yes.
You've had your issues.
Yeah.
And you were told to stay away from the surgery.
Yes, I was.
I actually, when I first saw that story, that was the first thing I went to is, you don't want a back surgery. How's he going to be when he returns? That's a concern to me.
Yeah.
Well, I think anytime you open up the human body there are some that, I guess in this day and age, there's lots of surgeries that are done skillfully.
Yeah.
And
Light
look
touches.
I was stunned that Patrick Kane is back and looking the way he appears to,
Yeah.
I can't imagine that was all editing done by guys like him. Looked like can skate and do it pain-free. It just struck me as, and playing goal. And
Yeah.
I mean, I went, God, out 8 weeks, but I'd forgotten, and I shouldn't have, that that organization, they are skillful in that area.
Yes, Julian Brisebois is detail oriented.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oilers should have done it with Kane last year.
Yeah.
I said at the time,
Yes, you were passionate about that.
when he got hurt, they should have put him right in LTIR and got a forward to replace him at the deadline, get Ekholm, and then magically, right before the playoff starts, he's ready to go.
Yeah, because he
heck you
did
doing?
break ribs, I think 2 or 3 games after he came back from the lacerated wrist.
That's right, he did.
Yep.
And now
And he
that's
tried
just,
to play. He tried to play through it, and he came back early too.
But I just would have loaded up that team, and you have the chance there. You could have done that. And I know people hate the Vegas Golden Knights and the Lightning for doing it, but
Oh, I thought it was absolutely
open up the door.
smart.
Yeah.
That was wizard.
until the NHL shuts it down,
Yep.
take advantage of it where you can.
Playing the CBA like a fiddle.
I mean, how many howls of disapproval did we have to sit through? And I'm sure it was no different anywhere else sports talk was being done over the Golden Knights and their loose and fast interpretation of the rules. No, actually, they're interpreting the rules as they were laid out.
Yep.
They're just doing it and doing it shamelessly and winning.
Correct.
It's annoying.
And they weren't the first.
It is. Do you think the NHL will ever kind of shut that down?
They'll find some kind of way to close it a bit. Yeah.
Once too many teams start doing it,
Yeah.
they'll eventually have to put something in
guys.
place,
Well-
whether that be like you have to be quote unquote cap compliant in the playoffs, like even though you're not paying, but the roster you feel. Which, by the way, I know some people throwing that out there. I think the Golden Knights would have been cap compliant last year, though. Even with the roster, when they threw it out there with who came out of the lineup and who went for the replacements, they still would have been cap compliant. So I don't know what you could have done for Vegas last year, but I think at some point they might have to.
But look at the NBA moved this offseason and not that long ago to all but eliminate load management.
Yeah.
We're like, you better have, let's not enough with the hamstring injuries, right? And the NBA in its wisdom, and I'm not sure I disagree, felt it was hurting their product, right? Because fans were coming out with an expectation that they would see on any given night, whomever, Luka or who, doesn't matter, fill in the blank of great player, and not seeing that player under the guise of load management. And there's all sorts of medical rationale for why, these athletes play too much, the frequency of games, but the NBA is very player friendly in terms of their scheduling and all the stuff they do for the players. But they felt that it was hurting their brand. I wonder if hockey at this point feels like, well, it's not really hurting us. There's going to be complaints from markets that lose to the Golden Knights where they go, these guys, look at them, right? Look at them. Until I think it gets deeper than what we've seen to this point, I don't think the NHL is going to go, okay, party's over.
The flip side to that, though, is if 8 or 9 teams decide that 1 or 2 of their best players is going to sit for X amount of months in the season and they're not playing.
Well, now you've got a brand issue.
Well,
now
that's where the brand, because we're not talking about these players going on that are third liners or fourth liners. We're talking about top players.
No.
And so that might be where the NHL comes in with this. You stayed longer than you were going to. You're just having too much fun.
I don't think
You
you're
gotta
going to
go
make
to
it
the
to the rink today. No, I think that's kind of out the window. I've got to get ready for the oil stream.
Nice.
Look at you just having too much fun.
Well, JMO's here. YouTube Trev's feeling good. I've enjoyed my time. This has been.
Yeah,
I can't
I have
believe
a quick question about the Oilers.
Yeah.
You're down there and you're watching this thing up close. Is it weird? Now, I guess this has been, for a couple of years, this has been a team with fewer question marks
very much
than in certainly in recent history. But it must be odd knowing that this is a roster that is going to be Connor Brown notwithstanding.
Yeah.
And maybe there's one other player that gains some traction here. That this team is set and the expectations are stratospherically high, and they should be. Mm-hmm. It must be an odd, in a good way, place to be. Like down at that rink going, I know hockey doesn't do presumptive Stanley Cup champions, but they are.
Yeah. It's a far cry. I always point back to 2010 to 2015, like when you knew that they were going to be out of it by November or December, and how we would overanalyze these camp battles and talk about, I kid, but Ryan Jones, is he a second line left winger this year or is he a third line guy? And it's we're talking about Ryan Jones. Or you're talking about Eero Pakarinen or Timo Hartikainen and Colin Fraser, what kind of impact they're going to have on the team. Colin Fraser came off a Stanley Cup, but those other guys, there was always an obscure Finn that was getting signed by the Oilers that people were over in Finland, he had a great season. I think he could do this with it. All of that, all those stupid conversations that we used to have, far-fetched, that we would quickly find out that these players had very minimal impact on these Oilers teams, and the team was, again, barely treading water and would obviously falter by November, December. you realize what a far cry it is from those days where now it's like a well-oiled machine. They're expected to win. You're not guessing every night. You're hoping for the best result back then. Now it's like, no, are they going to win tonight? If they don't, what did they do wrong?
Yeah.
Whereas before it's like, boy, so-and-so really stepped up. And you know what? They had a good game from the goalie and everything came together and they somehow beat the Blackhawks. No. That mental shift has occurred. It's refreshing. That's for sure. I enjoy it.
Imagine, yeah.
And, the expectation level from the fan base is up and it's a fresh approach, I guess, Jamie, is the way to
it's just,
I look at it at least.
You're immersed in that world. And so that's why I asked the question because, I get to be a fan, like just and a consumer of that team and a follower of it. But, I just wonder what it's like to be around that. I got a different part of the food chain being around a really good Eskimo team or Eskimo teams back in the day where you went to training camp and you went, we're good. We're really good.
That's what it is with these guys now.
We're going to lose. It's going to take a very special performance by the opponent. And it happened. I mean, you didn't win every game, but you went in knowing, I don't think we're losing tonight. I don't think we're losing next week.
Yep.
And it's a cool feeling. It doesn't happen much.
Yeah.
But that's very cool.
It's nice covering a team that's good now. And now, remember even like 2-3 years ago, we didn't even know if they were good. Remember we would talk about it on our station. We'd be like, well, they should be good. They have the best player in the world, but I don't know. Now you're like, no, they're good. It's how do you climb the mountain and get to the peak and look down on everyone. So it's kind of that mentality has shifted and the visiting media aren't making fun of the team anymore and they're like, boy, you guys are like kind of setting the bar in Edmonton with this team. And it's like, this is different. This is
nice.
This is interesting. I like covering a team that's good. And I like when the fan base
it's a team that's
is riled up for good reasons.
Now.
Yeah, it's important.
Now, obviously we know when they were very important and very successful, but this is an important team now on the hockey landscape.
Yeah.
It has. I mean, when you have Connor McDavid, you separate yourself from the pack but that doesn't guarantee success, and we've seen that. But I feel like now this is a team that people inside the market are watching and have been and are deeply invested, but now people outside must.
Yep.
Must. It feels like those rare teams that, remember like an LA Lakers, Matty, you go, I'm not really... I sort of like the NBA, but the Lakers are on. I hear they're special. They're that kind of team.
Yep. That's a great way to sum it up. I think they have the most national games in the U.S. this year, so for a Canadian team,
margin.
yeah. And now people are catching on.
They're a national brand. They're not a local team. Like I had this conversation with Bob Stauffer, our friend who's, the color analyst on the Oilers radio and television. And I said, Bob, this is not an Edmonton or Northern Alberta team.
No.
Yeah, this is a Canadian team now. Yeah, we know the Leafs and the Canadians. We get all of that, but this is and dare I say, kind of a global.
It's going to have to be a global team. Yeah,
we're right there with
it. Has to be.
Yeah.
They have to market it. They should be going to Australia next year or wherever the heck.
Yeah, if
they go back to London.
Yes,
the Oilers should be part of that discussion.
Yeah, because of those two guys and the way that and the style in which this team plays, I think the NHL needs to take this team. Let's show this group to people that don't really know the game.
Yep. 100%.
We're going to take a quick pause here on the EST Hangout. Just one more text I want to get to, 780-218-9999 from RCN, an Oilers Flame show. That sounds great, Maddie. So he's all in on that one.
Oh, boy.
Tom Gazzola, Matt Iwanyk, YouTube, Trev, Dave Jamieson with you here right now on the EST Hangout. When we come back, Lieutenant Eric is going to slide in. You're listening on EdmontonSportsTalk.com, as well as watching on the Edmonton Sports Talk YouTube channel. We'll be back in just a few minutes.
The Oil Stream.
Last summer on the Oil Stream, you and I discussed the possibility of Gagne coming back here on a PTO. He signed with Winnipeg and got an actual contract.
Anytime you can have Sam Gagne involved in your organization in any way, it's a major positive for you.
They love him.
The Oil Stream with Nielsen and Gazzola. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at noon. Only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Catch up with friends of EST, Andrew, Mike, and Kayla, as they get you in the huddle with the Edmonton Elks on the Turf District. Thursday nights at 8, EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Friend of EST, Eric Thomas, takes you around the track all the way to the checkered flag on Raceline Radio. Tuesday nights at 8 and Saturday morning at 9. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Join friend of EST, Guy Flaming, for The Pipeline Show, Monday nights at 8 and Saturday at noon, as he has you covered with CHL, CJHL, USHL, NAHL, NCAA, and U Sports, plus the World Juniors, Frozen Four, and NHL Draft on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Wake up with the Nielsen Show with Dustin Nielsen and Lieutenant Eric. Weekday mornings 6 to 9 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get to know the winners, props, plays, parlays, and more with Nielsen and Hustler. Weekday mornings at 11 on The Lock Shop. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Tom Gazzola and Sean Bell take you on a hot lap around the NHL with Hello Hockey, Saturday mornings at 10, only on Edmonton Sports Talk. Join Murray McCourt and Curtis Stock for tips and tales from courses around Edmonton and area with the VIP Golf Show, presented by the Tailor Made Performance Center at the Ranch, Sundays at 8:30, only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. Get all the latest news and takes on everything Oilers with Dustin Nielsen and Tom Gazzola on the Oil Stream. Live at noon, Monday, Wednesday, and Fridays. Only on EdmontonSportsTalk.com. The Elks Call is the newest Edmonton Elks podcast, located in Edmonton, discussing everything Elks. Join friends of EST, Scout, and Catherine, Friday nights at 8 on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
And we're back here on the EST Hangout. It is September 29th. Matt Iwanyk, Dave Jamieson returning still for another hour. And Lieutenant Eric sliding in places. See, he's so powerful, we had to get rid of two guys in this room to replace that with. So Lieutenant Eric now in with us here on the EST Hangout for everyone that is watching on YouTube or listening on EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
Trident's up.
Oh,
Yay.
yes.
Oh, you just are going to just cause drama right off the
Huge
bat.
win last night. Big win. Yes.
Just
Yeah.
right off the
Come
bat.
on.
It's going to be a fun finale to the Major League Baseball regular season on a few fronts. The Marlins in the NL. You got the AL West. I don't know, maybe kind of wrapped up now, I guess, with the Rangers. But Houston taking on Arizona. Seattle at home to the Rangers. Jays, of course, Rays. Probably a preview of that wild card series. And the Twins are just sitting there waiting.
The Twins, man, that division, hey.
What
somebody's
somebody's got to have a ticket.
Okay,
Somebody's gotta
you win it.
get-
Go.
Do we have to? Yes, you go through the exercise, but no, I'm semi pumped for this. I'm a casual Mariners fan. I'm not a
No, but
diehard.
you got hooked. You got hooked by the
did.
Trident. You got
Because you went to
ensnared
a
by the
game, too.
Trident.
Went to a
That-
game, got this
your
cap
honeymoon.
from the T-Mobile. I enjoyed it. It wasn't like, it's not your American Pie type of baseball. You know, it's West Coast. You can.
Oh, yeah.
It's a
I've
little
been-
more loose.
Sure.
Never had to wait in a line. There's not a lot of this traditional stuff you got to go through. I had a great time, a real blast.
That's
at
a
the
nice
Mariners game.
park.
It really is.
It's a real nice
the
park
people
to
were
see
friendly, and the team is. It's kind of fun to cheer for. A lot of people say they're kind of a-holes, I guess, but I don't know.
Mariners fans?
Other fans from other teams claiming that
That the Mariners are a-holes. Really? I don't think I would ever, like, if I was on the outside and like, which franchises of the third in baseball would probably have a-holes as fans?
And within that division.
Mariners wouldn't be a team I would come up with.
No, not as fans, just the players.
I thought you were saying fans.
No, the fan
Because I'm
base.
thinking, like, that would not be
But when you have
at
the
all.
Astros as a divisional neighbor, I mean, come on. I mean, give us a little time here. So no, I'm looking forward to these games. I like the West Coast pitches too. Like the first pitch, 8 o'clock. That late night.
There's something sweet about a late West Coast game, and I'm gonna just slide in a note here on my beloved A's. But when you turn on the television and you're just mucking around in the summer months and you flip it on and you go,
and it's hot as hell.
And it's hot as hell, and you go, and you see off in the distance in the corner of the room, there you go. There's a good Colorado-Oakland game that means nothing.
Yep.
But it's soothing and reassuring that that's going on in the world.
It's 27 degrees. It's
Yes.
8:10. Dodgers baseball on Prime Ticket, and it's still light there. And they're,
I know.
They're
Everyone's
having
happy,
supper.
and
It's like,
Merry Hearts behind the home plate.
You've already had your Jays. You've digested the Jays by now, and you can go off to the west.
On top of all of that, just all through, when Vince Scully was doing the games too, RIP. Like, that just added. When it was a Dodgers game and Vince Scully was also calling it, you're just like...
I watch Dodgers baseball religiously.
Just because
Never
of
a
that.
fan, but exactly.
Right.
That's a way you can end a nice weeknight. Just a Dodgers Padres when the Padres were nothing. Vince Scully calling it.
You know what?
And you're just sitting. It's 9:15 at night. You're
Give
only
it to
like
me.
for some reason it's going really slow. You're 3 hours in, but you don't care because you're listening to Vince Scully just talk so
It's
quietly.
the sports equivalent of and I'm not a drinker of this, of port. You just, how would you like to finish your evening? Would you like a glass of port? Yes, I would. And you just sort of swirl it, sip, swirl.
The fans going in the living room.
Yeah.
and you're just, boy, it's hot.
God, it's steamy in here, but I've got Vin telling me that, they've got 2
on Prime Ticket.
I love that. That is, there's a lot of Laker games like on something like that I'll watch, and they throw them on it and evenings too, and it's just, I love that whole look and the way they try to sell their station.
Well, and they're behind time zones, so it's like, we've already lived it, but they're just getting into it. You just kind of feel like, I'll join for a bit. It's
I
nice.
liked when the Sacramento Kings were awful, which they have been largely. Yeah. Now that they're
too big for you now.
They're like,
no,
okay, you've been working all these years to get good. I get it, but I liked you more when you were
Queens.
You catch them like on a late game, and you're like, yes, a disinterested fan base. And a bad team. I love that
There's
stuff.
some D-Gen down in Vegas that's riding on this one hard, waiting all day for this one.
Yeah.
That parlay is dependent on the Kings that night.
Right.
And somehow the Kings screw it up, and that person's just losing their mind.
What did you do in your life where you're in that situation where you're up late and you're just like, come on, Sacramento,
You've crushed
do
the
it.
East Coast. Like you're moving into Central Time. Things are going good. You get up west,
And you're just clinging to the edge of the boat.
I'm not going to go with the other part to this. We're going to leave that aside. But I had last weekend, Argos Ticats. I was losing my mind for fantasy purposes. Like, I was watching I couldn't watch anything else because I was focused on this, and I'm yelling at, like, Chad Kelly threw a pick, and that hurt me, and then Hamilton wasn't throwing to Tim White, and I was so invested in this game.
You're on the edge.
And it was just because of the Dunya, though. And so I could
That's
see
part
how
of Randy
sometimes-
Ambrosie's vision. He's got you.
I was so mad watching that one because
just imagine if you played the weekly fantasy though with the monetary values online. I mean, then you'd be.
Well, I know, and that's where like I sit there and go, I could see how there could be a situation in life where you're wanting, like, I could get to a point where, yes, my whole day is now around the Sacramento Kings.
Well, it's
and that's gonna dictate the rest of my night.
The Century Sports Bar and Lounge at Century Casino Fort Road, and that's the same thing. I mean, the off-track betting just follows the sun around the globe. So I mean, the ponies are wrapping up at whatever it is, and then the Caliente Greyhound that's coming up. So you can, I mean, but you're right. You're always chasing that. The dragon never stops, and you can just keep chasing it, and then it's a new day.
Komodo lizard racing from Macau.
You start again.
Sure.
We've all lived through COVID, right? I mean, the Korean baseball and the Bundesliga.
I have not to take us off.
No, they go wherever.
Gaming. You guys must have got caught up a little bit in the Argos Sit Chat Kelly this week, and then the indignation from Bob Irving, Knuckles we call him, and then Naylor jumping in, and there was
Doug
a
Brown
robust. conversation
But
around.
let's just set the sides.
Yeah.
Irving was this is a disgrace to the league. Should be playing every game, every quarter. Like,
even though
4 quarters.
Iron Man. We want him on defense. I mean,
that Bombers team over the last number of years have been resting all their players in the final couple of weeks.
Give me a break. Yeah,
I have no problem. And like Doug Brown was all upset because Dinwiddie explained it as I think it was the defense and the fans. That's why he's not playing Chad Kelly. Like he came out and he made a statement like that. I don't know if you guys seen that.
No.
So
Ryan
Dinwiddie was asked why he wasn't going to be playing Chad Kelly here, and I'll see if I could quickly find it. But I think part of like him saying that is just also being a little facetious.
Okay.
You know, like not being 100% sure. Like he'll throw that out there, but he's not really going to tell you his true opinion for it. He's not going to sit there and say, "I'm going to rest him a few games," but we got 150th anniversary coming up next weekend, and Chad Kelly sure ain't missing that game.
You're right. Yeah. Nor should he.
But
No,
like,
that's their organization.
You're wanting to go win the Grey Cup. I think it was Marshall on today in the Nielsen show. He says, if you win the Grey Cup, no one's going to remember whether you were sitting a player in games or not. He's played enough football in his life. He doesn't need to play this. Like, the Bombers,
you've earned the right.
They had been resting. There was a couple of years ago when they took first early. Yeah. And in the final 3 weeks of the season, they basically rested everyone. No one cared then. But now Winnipeg has started winning over the last few years, and now they have this. Like they dictate how this league is.
Oh yeah.
We should like
like Mike O'Shea
how
used to
dare
do
you know you should be doing it the way like we are. And there's this holier than thou attitude from some people. One person I don't think Huss is never like that.
No,
like I will give him credit on that. Like, but some others there, they absolutely sit there and go, Oh my God, you can't do that. That's not how we would do things in Winnipeg. And when they do it, they go, well, that's because we win.
Yeah, they're also a very clean team as well. They from Mike O'Shea's playing days, very clean. They walk the line. But I think this too, in any sport, two things can be true at once. We want to see them play.
I'm disappointed as a fan, but I get it why Toronto's doing this.
In this game, especially in a Grey Cup rematch, scheduling purposes, you would maybe want this to get all the stars playing. I understand that, but then you also understand them resting them.
But I was it was put to me by the late great Don Matthews, who I worked with for 2 years, and of the many pearls of wisdom he dropped on me over our time, one of them was along the lines of, I don't have the words absolutely correct, was, we are the road team. We are under no obligation to entertain.
No.
We're going there to win, hopefully, but we are not there to provide an additional storyline. We're the road team. We entertain our home fans when we're playing at Commonwealth. We go on the road. If you don't like what we're sending out in terms of our roster, shut up, it's our team.
And almost the opposite. You set out to stymie whatever the home storyline is or whatever. You're the party crasher.
I got no issue. Yeah. And you know what, Bomber fans, they're going to go to IG Field. They're there to see their team.
Well, the rum hut, or right? Like that's why they go. And
honestly, if I'm a Bombers fan right now, I'm thrilled by this because my team is still trying to win first in the West. Exactly. And I'm going, I don't have to go up against Chad Kelly.
Sure.
It's an easier 2 points.
Win should be easier, and we could get that West final. So why do I care?
But that Toronto defense is really good too. Could you imagine if something little happens? Man, that's why I'm here for it.
If I'm Toronto, I might see Winnipeg in the Grey Cup. This is their first meeting this season. Yep. I'm not giving them film on us.
Nope.
I don't want them to see Chad Kelly on this. I have confidence. If I'm Ryan Dinwiddie and Chad Kelly, I have confidence going, we go out there and play you in the Grey Cup. We didn't need this game against you to prep for it. We'll still go beat you. But we're not going to give you any film on how you matched up against our guys. And also on top of that, if the Argos then manage to get the win this weekend, how big of a, feeling good going into a Grey Cup. We could beat you with our backup. The quote, by the way, was when Ryan Dinwiddie was asked why he chose to sit Chad Kelly against the Bombers, quote, the crowd noise and Winnipeg's defensive line.
Okay, the second part of that, there's some validity there. The crowd noise matters not.
It's the loudest place in North America. It says it on the scrim. On the entire continent. It is the loudest.
No place louder. Louder than a jet, I'm told. Yes.
Go Argos.
Yes.
Yeah,
that's a pretty cool story. Coming out of Toronto this year.
Well, I liked, absolutely.
Yeah, really cool story.
Toronto, when they've won their recent Grey Cups, I will go to last year, and I'll go the one with Ricky Ray. They weren't exactly the best team all year.
No,
They ended up being the best of the East. They got to the Grey Cup.
Borrowing from the league in a sense.
Yeah.
Like Ray Kelly's their own.
Well, and this is a good football team.
Yeah.
This isn't a team that all of a sudden just made the playoffs because it's a 19 league and they've managed to get second or whatever. And the East is always garbage and they managed to be the best of the garbage.
East is pretty good.
Well, but also the Argos are the best team in the Canadian football league. And it'd be nice to have, if we want to see Toronto turn around for a fan base, it'd be nice to have them be good for a few years in a row. If what the Bombers have done over the last few years, if we can see that in Toronto for 3-4 years, then we can see could MLSE turn it around and get some interest there. We've seen the attendance slightly come up a bit.
Yeah.
Could you keep doing that? And when you have a name like Chad Kelly, with him being a really good quarterback, like what could happen in that market
credit
there?
to,
That's what
you look at O'Shea and Winnipeg, Ryan Dinwiddie, I think has done a good job, and Corey Mace on the defensive side. I mean, these are two guys that are
credible.
They're not too separated from the current style of play, too. Younger guys, but players, coaches, and all that. And as you say, it might justify to MLSE maybe a little more investment or a little more time or whatever. But a consistent winning product, not just, as you mentioned, going for it every 2 or 3 years with has-beens from other teams. I use that term loosely, but you know what I mean. Collecting the all-star caliber and then going for a Grey Cup in a year where the East is crap. I mean, this is good. This is what you want to see, and you want to see this continue, I guess.
Or make MLS or make the Argos so appealing in terms of what they are as a sports entity that they look for a sale to an owner, a private owner. You know, someone other than MLSE.
Like, hey, I want this.
MLSE, you know, the Argos in terms of, you know, they're a rounding error for them. Like, it's not costing MLSE. I'm sure
they
if
got
they got
Toronto
an
FC
account.
to think about. Hey, I mean, that's
Yes, they do.
You can have your Maple
Things
Leafs.
have gone so well there.
Right. So who knows? You know, maybe that's a better option or opportunity for them. But yeah, it's the best story in the CFL this year for sure.
Yeah.
I like this in the nasty chat. Tyson saying we're holier than thou in Winnipeg, so deal with it. LMAO.
Hey, we used to
I
be,
love that.
yeah,
I
we
love
used
that.
to be that way.
No,
too,
you have that arrogance.
Sure.
You should.
Yeah, they've heard it. They've
But
heard
just
it.
keep it when the latter days get on you. I mean, yeah.
I'm just glad that we've had a couple teams catch up to Winnipeg. Because the last few years, it's really, throughout the regular season, it's been Winnipeg, everyone else.
Yeah, of course.
This year, we could say it's Winnipeg, BC, and Toronto. They're by them, like they're in that class, and it is a competition. And I don't think I could sit here right now saying, like, Toronto would be the odds-on favorite to win the Grey Cup. But I could see BC beating them. I could see Winnipeg beating them in
Who
a Grey Cup
finishes
game,
tops in the West, I guess, would be a question now, too.
And that, I think, comes down to next weekend.
Because that's huge,
Because
too,
Bombers, Lions next weekend,
Yeah.
I think it is. And what's the standings of that one? CFL standings.
Well, they're both even now, and I don't know if they've played.
Are they even?
as
Man,
far
that
as a
Lions
tiebreaker.
team is a good.
So
on their day.
10-4, 10-4. BC, I think they're 1-1 because BC won early this year, I think, and then Winnipeg went there and decimated them, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
And so that will be the division. That's not even just taking if they both win this weekend. Let's do hypothetically they both win. That's not even just passing the other team by 2 points. That's passing them by 3 points because you get the season series.
And the path to Hamilton is either indoors or outside in the wintry.
Yeah. Wintry climbs.
Wintry Winnipeg. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's
a big
huge.
one, too.
It's a great storyline there to follow as well.
But the Lions almost beat them last year, the Bombers.
That was
in the
fun
West
to watch.
Final.
Boy, that was fun to watch. They almost had him. Yeah.
Could the Argos lose to like the Owls? Like
Sure,
how
why not?
disappointing would that be though? Like from an
can they?
entertainment,
Yes.
yes,
Can
they
they?
can.
Yes, yes,
and
yes.
that happens in the CFL.
That's the beauty of
But
it all.
how much do you not want to make sure that the Argos do get there?
Well, we can't have a Fajardo-led Alouettes team going into Hamilton. And I mean, can we?
Or a Taylor Powell?
Taylor Powell. Wouldn't that be a story for Tycast
Or is this
fans,
when
though?
Bo Levi Mitchell comes back?
Oh, yes.
You
he
don't hand the
emerges.
ball off now again. Hey, like, do you? I mean,
Bo Levi.
what is?
Who's
he
a
doing?
step removed from the TSN panel? Do we not agree that that's the
He's already
logical...
getting fitted for the suits. I think.
Yeah.
Panel or analyst
Anything.
in the game?
Oh, okay. Well,
What do you like? Because he was fantastic on the panel
Do a
when
mix.
he did it.
Do the
and
Dunnigan
stuff.
mix.
do the
I
Dunnigan.
would like that.
I want him anywhere and everywhere. I think because you're right. The brief.
I will throw this out there, and this is no disrespect to Glenn Suter.
No.
I'm not trying to disrespect you, Glenn.
Nor should you.
I would love
kick.
to see a Dusty Bo Levi Mitchell game. Dusty calling it play-by-play, Bo Levi Mitchell doing the analyst. The two of them at a Grey Cup party, I think 2 years ago, the wrap party after the Grey Cup, they chatted for hours apparently. That's what Dusty said. They just sat down and they like connected. I think that would be incredible. CFL broadcast.
I'm here for it.
Those two.
I want to try to make it happen. I don't know what I can do.
You know, I was watching Thursday Night Football last night, the pregame show.
Yes.
Which I think is really good. They do an awesome job. You know, it's got Richard Sherman on it. It's got Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's got
Tony Gonzalez?
And
that retired player from the Rams from a couple years ago, wasn't it?
Yes. Why am I drawing a blank on his name? And of course, you got Al Michaels and Kirk Herbstreit in the booth, and Teresa Thompson does a really good job hosting and stuff. And I'm thinking, they have no shortage of people who are they're able to find and then develop in terms of talent, broadcasting talent down there.
But as I said earlier, current. I mean, it's one thing to get a player who's played in the 80s, but how does that translate to today?
But watching like a Richard Sherman, who's a very bright guy. I mean, you know, maybe not for some fans entirely likable, but he's a very sharp, he's a charismatic performer. But it's funny how, you know, I'm just thinking about what we're challenged with here in Canada is finding and developing those new voices, right? I'm thinking in hockey terms, you know, that's why Kevin BX is seen as such a what? Where did this come from?
Yeah.
Better analyst than, you know, that's and
Sure.
you found your niche. But we've talked about this before, us three here. I mean, the CFL and CBC panels had like 16 people on the desk.
Grey Cup was amazing.
Elliot Friedman's on there, and the desk is just showing you got Benefield, you got them all down. Greg Freyers. I mean, but all those guys were not too far removed from their current game, and they could again, no offense to as you mentioned, so we love the stories and everything, but I think football's changed so much that you do need a relative voice to kind of comment on the current game, and I just wonder why that was such a thing then, where you could get guys to. And I don't know how CBC went around that, but you know, I mean, even going like Kepley had a long run, did he?
Yeah,
not?
he did, and he was very good.
I just wish that we could kind of take players, and there must be players that leave the league every year or whatever. But could you not say, hey, you want to come test your hand? They're not all going to hit.
No,
but you could certainly find a handful of guys that are not too far removed and bring them on and share an opinion at least.
What would be big for that is a 10th team in the Canadian Football League.
Yes,
because now you have to do that extra game a week. And you're going to, if you're TSN or whatever rights holders will have it. I don't know if it'll still be just TSN or if they'll split it up at the time. I remember James Duthie once on our show, because Rogers jumped in with Bell and Tannenbaum to eventually buy the Argos. Is there a situation where if the 10th team comes, maybe Rogers looks into taking part of the package too and stuff? You're going to need another voice, play-by-play, and another color guy at least.
Yeah.
And sideline person, like you are going to need more. So maybe that
and
forces
it's another day for the
TSN
panel.
and then the panel might need some more people
to
go on, and that's what could maybe force to get some of these. Like Milt Stiegel was great, but now Milt's been on for a long time. He was a great addition from former player, just recently retired. Bring him on the panel, but I think TSN they bring in Jim Barker, who's great. But he's an older guy, and he's just
from a management
Mike
role,
Benavides type thing. But we're not
coach,
doing it with the players enough.
Yeah, exactly. And we had Kenny Stafford on with Dusty back at the station. The guy could talk, and he wanted to talk.
Oh yeah,
and
he was very good.
But I just wonder, they slipped through the cracks.
I mentioned earlier this week. Do you remember DeVere Posey at the 19th Grey Cup? How incredible he was. How are we not finding more ways to get these guys doing something?
Well, and then the challenge, like it is in so many things in life, is financial. It's you know, can these people put aside their lives and their jobs that they have, and you know, the guys are moving on to different things post football? Can they stop down, get the time off?
At the car dealership or the
wherever
insurance,
they may be, you know, financial planning, whatever. They're, you know, and then to be able to go and do this or go on the road and be an analyst and that kind of thing. But it's not easy.
And I think Bo is probably at the top in terms of analyst panel, all that. But even bring on a Saragusa type of, you know, just a Booger McFarland of sorts, a bit of a laugh, not so much of a serious thing, but you can have somebody doing an X's and O's segment, but just anything more current. Stiegel, they're all great, but that time too is moving away now slowly.
I just want to get to
news of the day. We don't have breaking news, do we?
There's actually breaking news. Somebody texted in.
Oh.
Austin Mack not playing against the Red Blacks. Adjust lineups accordingly. Hopefully that doesn't ruffle Matt's feathers, but that text coming in. So
I never knew that. Thanks for the information, Matt.
Is this
Just gonna
injury
start-
related
Wow.
or
Apparently,
or-
this is all allowed.
So you want me to beat Luke because you're
This is
telling
all
me
allowed now, apparently, in our fantasy. I'm also knocked out of the league, so it doesn't really matter anymore.
I
So,
did.
no
I did.
bitterness there.
No, this is a big
Oh, really? Bone of contention?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, and
He's gonna
I've
buy
been let
Shreveport
loose.
next year.
I've been
and
let
it's-
loose.
Yeah.
And move them.
It's all
I don't know.
It's coming after me hard.
Well, I helped you there a little bit.
You did.
Also,
You did.
JMO, you're
Luke, if
getting a
you're
lot of love. Well, you're still debating all those guys. JMO, you're getting a lot of love for that jersey. Kevin, I love the Seals jersey. Dwayne, JMO's a legend. Love the Seals jersey. Johnny, Alberta. I'm sure I'm not the first one to say this, but Dave's Golden Seals jersey is a class.
I
debated whether I should bring it, but I thought, you know what? I honestly, I never wear this stuff. Like I have this. I'm not
You
even
don't
sure.
lounge around.
No, I don't. And so I throw it on once. But for me, and I wasn't kidding, this means hockey's back.
But sweater
Let's go.
underneath. You're not just.
No.
You're not doing the jersey to the skin.
Jersey to the skin.
That's a
What's
bad-
the call? Okay, let's get
Hockey,
into
you
that.
can't do that.
Only basketball
Hockey,
jersey.
you can't do that. Basketball and soccer.
Right.
Soccer too. Yeah.
Soccer,
absolutely.
you can make
That's
that.
okay.
That's because that is.
But like
that's like a shirt.
baseball is a little loose.
Baseball,
you only
you
got 3 buttons. You're kind of. That's a tough game.
That's a baseball without anything underneath. It seems like a very. I'm out camping this weekend with the boys.
You're at the-
We're getting
yeah.
wasted
Yeah.
at the lake or
Right.
whatever.
Yeah.
It's hot out. I'm just gonna wear this. That's that. That's about it.
Yeah. Football, you got the little holds. Like you're still kind of.
Football, you should have something.
Something.
Hockey, you should have something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
But
think
soccer,
something.
you're good. And basketball in the summer, you're good.
It's a big faux pas.
You can't do that in the winter.
Yeah.
That looks weird.
No. It's disgusting, actually. Is
It
the word
really,
I
and I'm
choose. I
just,
know
I'm
why,
just
but-
trying to imagine the feeling of a good,
No,
breathable jersey, but not really breathable, just on bare skin. It's
Oh, you get a little cold. Yeah.
sure.
It's not.
we're
yeah.
not good.
Nope.
We should get a. We did these at the old station, but we should get EST jerseys.
Oh, now we're onto it.
I had the double XL.
What's the
football
reaction
one.
been to the hats? By the way, they're really
Amazing.
sharp.
Isn't
The
that a good
hat's
litmus?
brought to you by the Hive Product Marketing, official merch partner of Edmonton Sports
Very nice.
Talk.
Thank you. Hive.
Promotional products that bring the buzz. Check them out at the hiveproductmarketing.com. They did a great job
done.
with their hats, our shirts, and our hoodies.
Yep.
We're going to do more with them eventually. We will get there. Chelsea and everyone at the Hive have been great, and we're going to get more stuff done. Stay tuned to Edmonton Sports Talk. But I thought, because we got the shirts but we got the hats done.
jerseys.
But when we got these done, we just wanted them just to be on the air with something.
course.
to
You were
start-
testing them. This is a prototype.
and I just thought, like, with these hats get cool, it's Edmonton Sports Talk. They will get us by until we start selling stuff and getting things ready. But the immediate response that we've had of people like, I want one of those hats. I was actually really surprised by. So these
It's a
will
good
be
fit,
for
too.
sale
Like,
at
they
some
fit.
point.
They
Yeah, they're
wear
good.
well.
They're good
That's
hats.
another-
'Cause
hat design is one, but
what
the
was the
fit,
other
you need a
hat?
good fit.
We
yeah.
were somewhere this week and you saw a hat and you're like, I don't like that hat.
It's-
But these hats, they're nice.
Snapback, yeah, fits good.
They got the flat. Are you a flat or a curve?
I'm a curve.
Yeah.
But that's
but a
probably
hard, are
for
you
my.
like you're
Oh, we used to
because there's
get,
curves that are
we
I mean
used to get a hat.
breaking the brim, you know.
So before training camp, Dwayne Mandrusiak would kit me out with, like, I'd usually get a couple of golf shirts, right? Because you're gonna wear the stuff every day,
Yeah.
right? And we'd get the hat of the day. I can't remember if we used to get training camp hats. No, probably the CFL. Probably was a hat that lasted the whole
Hat of the
season.
year.
Hat of the year. And those were a curved brim, but I remember guys like really cracking
Like
them,
a
like to
V.
get them. Yeah, it's just like, wow, how did you get the curve on that thing? Right? And
It's a little too much.
And guys are funny with hats. Like, like Jason Moss used to have a hat that was so discolored from sweat and
The old
anger.
hunter's cap, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like
Anger. $100 taken down with that thing.
Why don't you go see Dwayne and get another one? No, I like this. Okay.
You'll like this story. And then
All right.
Dave Jamieson, Lieutenant Eric Manawanek with you here on the EST Hangout. I remember you telling me stories that, like, at draft time, you'd give a player a hat but keep the tags there so you could get it back and put it back on the store shelves. So I'm going to the Elks game, Labor Day rematch. I'm on the LRT, and I look over, and there's some guy dressed in full Elks gear. And this is, like, 20 minutes before the game type thing.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, this guy, like, is he a player or something? And I ended up looking up, and it was like a practice roster player. And one, I'm thinking, like, you're pretty late to this game, I think. Like, shouldn't you have been there? But it's funny because when I looked at him, his hat that he was wearing had the tag still on it. And I'm just
Full
sitting
kit.
there like,
Full kit.
he's having to give that back, or is he just choosing to keep the tag on it. Like, it was, and then the story of you having to take the hat back from the kid.
And the public transport, I think this is kind of lost in the show. I love the beauty of that guy with the hat
just
taking
standing
the
there,
public transport on the way to beautiful.
The thing when Terry Vaughn was in town for his Wall of Honor induction, we were going through some stories, and there was a lot of stuff Terry didn't remember because that's, he's gone on with a life and he's a successful playing career. But I was able to just sprinkle into the conversation, hey, Terry. And he was one of the guys. So we had a news conference on March 25th of 1999 to announce his signing. It was a big damn deal that he was going to come here and didn't go to the Riders. And I remember giving him a hat that I had to get from the team store, and I had to take it back from him. Now, this is that is the big free agent signing, and I had to give it the old, hey, listen, after you get done with the one-on-ones, and go talk to Terry Jones there, I'm going to need the hat back.
Big day for you and all, but...
And it's very exciting, and I'll see what I can do.
Get that.
We'll try and send you back with something for the wife and the kids.
You'll try, yeah. That's good.
But it was always, I'll see what we can do. Well, Hugh Campbell,
you're going to see.
Mike O'Shea was drafted by the Eskimos back when the CFL had a draft. Like, you went and walked across the stage, and they traded O'Shea in the time it took him to get across the stage.
That's like the Steos thing this morning. It was just...
And they held a jersey, and Hugh's welcome, and then handed him a green jersey, probably with no number or anything, and O'Shea, and then Hugh said, don't put it on, and I'm going to need that back.
So you just kind of held it.
He never took the full hand off the jersey. He just kept a couple of fingers just so he
And then it was like, go see Al Bruno. He's at the Hamilton table. Go see him. You're now a Tidecat.
Oh,
yes.
man.
Oh, yeah. No, that stuff was real. Like, you couldn't give the stuff out because you didn't have enough to give it, and we needed the money.
You moved, though, then. You moved. Like, you didn't rest. Like, you're there. Go over there now.
Yeah.
You gotta...
I don't know if you saw, Gavin Cobb was in on Monday here on the Hangout.
I saw a bit of it.
Did you see his jacket? The starter jacket he was wearing?
Oh, yeah.
Like,
but not the winter type.
Incredible, of a look is like the CFL needs to promote that more. You want to get people into this game? That should be publicized.
But those starter jackets with that pocket, that's football. That's a football jacket.
They should have that advertised during the games.
Yes.
Oh, sure.
A CFL shop store, we have get your starter jackets right now and show
your
those.
one model from each
because
team.
I wanted one of those.
The CFL has and I know that, you get caught 1 foot in the past and you're one looking towards the future, and I understand that. But there's good chunks of the history of this league that are charming and memorable, and I would go in. There'd be nothing that I wouldn't pull out to try and sell or monetize or whatever.
But it's the Trooper Carrie Underwood whole thing here. But I and you guys, I've preached this before.
Yes.
CFL films. The NFL doesn't shy away from its past. It celebrates it in great film and great production. But also, they live in the present and look towards it. You can have both. But without that, again, without you telling stories and us kind of getting together to reminisce, there's really no other way to celebrate that past. So you're always kind of looking for it. You're kind of grabbing at it, kind of blindfolded and not knowing where to go. But then you also need to go into the future. You need to get newer fans.
Well, what's going to be interesting here locally with the Elks next year? It's 75th. It's their 75th season. And I know, obviously, many of the people who will be involved in that, and Evan Dahm, who's the head of marketing and communications, a friend of this, EST, and a guy, I've got a big fan of him and his work, how they're going to marry what could be a very promising future with Trey Ford and where this Elks franchise is going, but how you're also going to properly and respectfully celebrate the 75 years, the foundation of this franchise. Like, you live in the now, because the young person going out to Commonwealth to enjoy a game and tailgate and be part of all of that doesn't know necessarily or care about Frankie Morris, and they know Warren Moon because who wouldn't know Warren Moon if you're going to a football game?
But there's actually don't know who Warren Moon is.
Oh, And
I guarantee
that's
there's
fair.
a lot
I
that still
understand.
happens
Why? And
because we're
that's-
past.
But you're bad
hasn't-
on the storytelling. That should always be part of the fabric and the quilt. And
But it's
Reed
also just
mentioned
you're getting
this-
to a point where you're past that time.
get
Like he
it,
hadn't
but-
played. He hasn't played in this city since the '80s.
Early
There's
80s,
there's a situation here where
you don't need to
it's-
bring him up all the time, but it should
But-
be kind of in the faint, knowledge of the team. You should, okay, well, this is a guy that, because Reed said something, Reed Wilkins, Sixers said on the Hangout yesterday, and he brought up when the Eskimos won the Grey Cup, and then the billboard for
15.
next season, and you had Riley there to mark. Like you had, it was a underhand pitch, just hit the ball. You got Riley, and it was what advertising
he
the
said
price of tickets.
The advertising the next year didn't
mean,
feature any of the players.
and as you
after the
mentioned-
Grey Cup win, it was just the colors, and then buy your tickets type thing.
Like you have these shots to shoot, and the 75 only comes around once. Like
Right.
So let's look at this thing. You have a guy like, as you mentioned, Trey Ford, where you can look to the future but celebrate the past, and you can do it both all under one nice umbrella
Yeah.
where you educate people. And this is what the history of the team was. This is where we want to go, instead of just putting out a number.
Well, it's
for
funny,
price wise or something.
Like the Oilers were criticized often, and we used to hear it on the text line, and
We did it. We criticized.
Right, like, oh God, another bringing
80s
back
again.
the 80s gang again. Well, now because they've created their own new history, like they're doing it in real time, and they've done it over the last few years, and they've got, obviously, with Connor McDavid, they can quite comfortably never leave their past behind, but they can put it in a place now where they can draw on it occasionally. They don't have to force it. Like, remember when we were great? Remember, and that gets stifling. Like, you feel like, oh God,
And it
another
almost
history
does a
lesson
disservice
incoming.
for them as well.
Right.
Because now that memory is kind of in a different space.
Now they're in the place where, and hopefully the Elks find themselves soon in a place where they can respectfully draw on the past and go there for a Wall of Honor induction, let's say.
Because you have a rich one. That's the,
And you have a rich one.
Not everybody does.
But now you've got to create your own.
You get to be excited about the present and the future.
Right.
yeah. But have it all. You can do all.
You can live in both, but now the Oilers can go back when they need it and when it's special.
The present could be the forefront now, and the past is just there as the cherry on
It's
the ice.
taken a long
cream
time
or
to get there,
whatever,
but
you
it
know?
usually does
Yeah.
take a long time to get there.
Well,
Yeah.
the Elks
not
are one
easy.
of those too that it's been
Yeah.
a long time since they were good. You know, there's
But they
been a
also,
couple
like-
sprinkling in there, but for the most part, for 20 years they haven't been good.
But you had a franchise that was making the playoffs consecutively for how many years?
34.
You'd
34.
always get that. That was
34.
always the fan thing in your face. Oh, we made the play. So, good times, bad times.
Yes.
They've experienced the ultimate change in that one.
Oh,
That's kind of
yeah.
why I don't actually mind that they have that record for losing at home, because you got
Because you've
both.
had the other one. Yeah.
You can say, yeah, well, they didn't win at home for how many games, but they also made the playoffs 34 straight years,
But how
professional
quickly
record.
it was so forgotten. Like just, and that was a huge number of years.
I wonder, as you survey the landscape of professional sports in North America, maybe you want to broaden it. There are organizations like I think of the Chicago Blackhawks, who plummeted to the depths of the NHL. They were awful.
Yep.
And they were playing in front of minuscule crowds in Chicago. We know the whole Wirtz family and all of what happened there. And then their resurgence to become, they were the standard bearer for a time in the NHL. Yep. We know that story. Then they go, and we know why, and then they find themselves now charting a new course with Connor Bedard and some others there in Chicago. But, the Elks story is pretty unique. Yes, lots of teams go through times in the wilderness, but all of what they faced, from the change to COVID, they could have come out of that and won under the new name. And think of how maybe some of this would be different.
Well, and even I say the brand too. If you never had a football team here and you drop an Elks, hey, expansion franchise, it's a strong, great logo, great name, in my humble opinion. But again, as you mentioned, it was a perfect storm. COVID, the ownership, everything. Well, not the ownership, but the presidential oversight, I guess.
Yeah.
Some people did, but all of that happening at the same time created a bit of a perfect storm. But again, this is coming off a team that made the playoffs for
And it's
100
harder
years in a
to
row.
do when you have a great past. Remember, we interviewed a guy on our show, Matty, who had done the Washington Bullets change.
That's right. I
led
remember
it.
that one, yeah.
Yes.
He was the guy that based, on the owner, a Poland saying, we're changing the name. And we're going from Bullets, and then they landed on Wizards. Well, they didn't have a rich and glorious past. They were a member of the NBA, and outside of Wes Unseld and a few other guys that, only old people remember, they didn't have much of a thing that they had to sort of navigate. They could step away from what they were known as, and ta-da, we're the Wizards. And everyone goes, okay, sure. And off they go. And they just like pulling, changing clothes.
It's like a new team. It's an expansion.
That's not the case here. And it's harder to, I'm not absolving them of the stuff that's happened on the field. That the record, you are your record. Yeah. But that's also complicated it.
Absolutely.
Easily. Yeah.
Nobody's looking for Bullets memories or
no,
you know what I mean?
No.
It just doesn't exist.
No, it doesn't.
Although I do look at Wizards memories. Two big ones.
Jordan
playing for there. I do have a Wizards Jordan jersey.
Of course.
I need it.
Gilbert Arenas gun incident on the plane and all of that. That's because the Wizards were great under Gilbert Arenas at that point. Like they were actually fantastic. They were a really good.
Was that on the plane or was that the card game in the dressing room?
I think the gun came out in the dressing room, but the card game happened on the plane.
Right.
Where he was owed money or something, and then he brought the gun out in the dressing room, and then that team just collapsed.
Well, gunplay is a defining moment in a relationship, hey? Would you not suggest when someone goes, hey, by the way, remember you owed me, and you think, wow.
You left the Bullets, you should have dressed up as a wizard and cast like a spell, like that would be more apt with the new
Come in with the
brand,
pointy
you know
hat.
what I mean? Let's keep it on brand here.
They've done a great job rebranding the Wizards. Like when you think of what they had with the Wizard before and the MJ Wizard, it's kind of
hokey and
it was ugly. But the Wizards that they do now, which is also the Capitals colors and look and stuff, like it's a sharp look that they have there. It's like the Raptors, who I did like the dinosaur and like the, but their look now is way better than what the Raptors
But it's Washington basketball
with
a nickname attached almost. Like you're kind of in that. And I like that in the sports team too.
You could do a really good hour on this show chopping up sports branding. Who's done it well, who hasn't. Like seriously, that conversation, and obviously Tommy G would be part of that, but that would be a fun talk about, because there are some who would say, and I've heard, it's just laundry. Okay, but it's laundry that you actually care about. Like I shouldn't, at my age, care about this jersey at all, or the team that was awful. But it's this laundry that I care about.
Seeing is believing for humans. It's through the eyesight. We smell, we taste, although you hear, whatever. It's the sight. It's seeing it.
Right.
I'm just trying to think of where I'd go with this. I'll say this. I think that was one thing that's kind of hurt the XFL and the Alliance and USFL is their branding's boring.
Shite.
It's
like creating a team of
It's from an agency inside of New York that just
got the contract to do all of the logos.
And just did it. And it's like, I don't know how any of those cities would want to have connections with those teams. By the way, did you hear what's going to happen with this merger?
I looked at the release.
Apparently, the rumor is they're going to the hub model.
Oh, where they set up in Canton and they just
and all the teams just come to Canton once a week and they all play their games.
It's like a Timbits tournament.
It's what the USFL has kind of. That's what they did 2 years ago. Right. Last year they I think did it in 4 cities.
Yes.
XFL had their home markets. Apparently, this model is going to be the hub model, or that's what's being rumored. So they'll all just go to one.
What's that say to a fan base that's already bought?
It also says that this league's not going to last long to me because of that. Why would I be a fan of the Seattle Sea Dragons when I can't see them play in Seattle?
I bought a season ticket. I watched you all last year. Now you're going to go away to.
I got to go to Canton.
You're an Expos fan of Montreal, and your team's playing 30 games in Puerto Rico. Why would I keep supporting you?
Yeah, it's a slap in the.
Okay.
And yet the CFL
keeps
keeps
see
surviving.
that part of it. Yes.
And remember all the people saying, well, I should join up with the XFL.
Redbird Capital, blah, blah, blah.
The one thing that a bunch of us always said is, come to me when a spring league actually survives down south, and then the CFL should join.
They need us more than
Absolutely.
we need.
The CFL would be in trouble right now if they were part of all of it.
I remember vividly sitting in the offices of the Eskimos in that old building, and this is when did we start seeing video? And they were very provocative, very edgy for the XFL.
Oh yeah.
You remember when they launched and how that
Vince
looked?
had that bid press conference, so they launched in 2020. I think he did it 2 years early.
Was that with the blimp that crashed?
Because that was the
that was-
early XFL. That was the first XFL.
Is that what you're
Yeah,
talking
that's
about?
the one
Oh,
I'm
that's, I
talking
thought you were talking
about.
about the new one.
No, I'm
Paul
talking about the
McCallum,
yours.
he hate me.
But
the whole,
Noel Prefontaine is the
Scott
third
Flanagan,
quarterback in LA, like that era.
Vegas
And I
era.
remember
Yeah, no, okay. I'm sorry. I was
Marcus Crandall heading off to become a Memphis Maniac and all of that. Like I remember
an
those
outlaw.
days.
Outlaws for life, baby.
I cheered for the Outlaws.
No, they were Memphis Maniacs.
No, but
No,
the
I
Las
cheered for
Vegas
the Outlaws. I
No,
Las Vegas.
Vegas
I was
Outlaws.
a
Paul
Vegas
McCallum,
fan.
I think, was a
Right, and
I think that's where he hate me played.
But I remember,
think.
I remember sitting in the office, and we could. I mean, like, two people at their computers could get video. You know, we was very simple times. It's like, well, have you seen the XFL commercial? Like, were they about the cheerleaders and Daddy likes popcorn and.
They had in one of the commercials because they had the no fair catch rule. They
Right.
had the guy getting hit by like that big ball that
Right,
It was, like
Ragdoll
the,
ball.
it was like the GoDaddy commercials at the time. You're like,
Yes.
oh,
It
this
was
is
massive.
softcore porn on my cable package here.
And I remember
And then they went to
sitting
the
there,
locker room with the cheerleaders
Oh,
during
right.
games
Yeah.
and stuff.
Oh, yeah,
and-
and I remember sitting there with some staff going, "Oh my God, we're going to get crushed! Like, how do we compete
Bright
against
lights,
this?
yeah.
People, wow!" And everyone goes, "Well, you know, we better change. We better toughen up our
and
marketing."
no coin flip. Remember the race to the ball? You just
And
like,
first
and it
game,
was
game
gone.
one, game one or
Hello.
two on that first day, the guy's shoulder goes out.
Is it authentic? I mean, all of that was BS.
Yeah.
That it was all.
it was shop window stuff. and just-
Right.
Yeah.
And again, I come back to you can say many things, and many people have about the Canadian Football League, but by God, it is authentic.
Well, and we go again taking this back to soccer too. There are some lower divisions in the States. I don't know what that cup is that every team plays in.
US Cup.
US Cup.
Yeah.
But you go to St. Louis Division III, St. Louis River Rats or whatever, and you look at their logo, and there are 30 points on that logo that signify heritage, tradition, whatever within it. Like it means something. As you say, it's not a cookie cutter.
Yeah.
The Alliance or whatever it is off your generic team list. But
I
that-
don't want
that
them
make- that
all to
helps.
look the same
Well, but if
because you're
you're
supposed to be different.
if you're in a community, you want some of that. Even
Yes.
FC Edmonton for I mean, lack of a better example, but they had things in that logo too that kind of okay. Well, I was there that night. I remember that. Boy, that draws me in. It's not just a United FC or whatever the hell it is. I get you gotta try it. It's,
I do a mashup with some at FC. I'm trying to think if we can get all of the things that you see on branding now. FC United Sporting. They'll roll that all into
Yes.
one name
there's
for a
going to
team.
be a club in the States that does it eventually.
that
yeah.
puts all of them in.
The FC United.
Well,
yeah,
I
yeah.
still will never forget when Minnesota launched their club
that
in
was
MLS,
terrible.
and they went Minnesota United, and for the acronym they went was
MUFC.
MUFC, which in football world, the soccer world, that's Manchester United, and it was like you're not like really.
What are you doing here?
Like this is one of the biggest clubs in the world with this huge history, and you're going MUFC right now, and they immediately changed it.
A big
'cause they
detail in
knew
branding, though, and
it
that's
was like,
important.
you can't.
Who vetted that?
Yeah, I think Minnesota.
The Trudeau government?
Because I think they're Minnesota United Football Club.
No, I know that.
Yeah, no, that's what
But
I'm
you
just trying to think where the name was. So yeah, they went MUFC and they had to change their acronym.
Like, who
for it
doesn't
because-
know
You
that?
write it on the whiteboard
Yeah.
and you look at it, you go,
And it was
where have I
immediately
seen
like
that
the
before?
whole soccer world's like, oh, you're MUFC, really? Huh?
Oh,
You sure about that?
We're gonna call ourselves the Cowboys of Dallas, Ontario,
And
or
we'll
whatever.
put a
whatever.
star
Yeah,
on the helmet. Never been done. And you go,
Wait till they get a load of this.
this. Yeah.
The Seattle Sounders just did a reload.
Oh,
And initially, I was worried because I was worried that, like everyone else, they're going to switch away to FC or their logo is going to be very cookie cutter. They kept the Space Needle in there, and it's sharp.
Good.
That was a good one where I'm like, okay, you got this one right.
See,
you kept who you were, and you didn't just
Don't
go,
bow to the
oh, we're just
commercial."
going to be Europe right now.
Yeah, yeah.
I liked when the NASL had teams like the Tampa Bay Rowdies
Well,
and the Colorado. Oh, what were the Rapids? And they were they were North American names. Like they weren't trying to force the old FC United Sporting.
And they started on their own, and that Rowdy's brand now, and they still play. That's now seen as a traditional brand down there. It has got the legs, it's got the history now that they look at that as. You might see a team popping up in Europe calling themselves the Gothenburg Rowdies or something. I don't know, but that's you create it here, and then it can be exported. But You're right. The NASL named some of that.
Oh,
That was delicious stuff. I don't mind that at
God.
all. Don't
Montreal
mind it.
fans were upset when they went to
Toronto
CF
Metro
Montreal
Croatia.
instead of Montreal
The
Impact.
Impact. And they have
were
history
upset.
with that name. They
And
made
that's,
some history
hey,
then.
the Vancouver Whitecaps still, they're not an FC, they're not a sporting club, they're not United, they're the Vancouver Whitecaps.
The Caps.
Yes.
Maybe one day they'll win for Scott McCord, but
well,
I'm a big
Daly's-
Timbers supporter, to be honest with you. Portland.
I'll always have the
yeah.
soft spot for Whitecaps because they're the Western team.
That's your MLS though.
If I had to cheer for
Yeah.
one, it would be.
that was a hell of a
generally them,
parade
also
in
them, so-
'79 when they beat the when they won the championship. It was pretty cool.
Dusty in the nasty chat on YouTube.
Oh, boy.
What's up, ESTers? Lock Shop and Oil Stream still to come. Sick Jersey Day. That coming in from Dusty. Lock Shop is coming up in 7 minutes time right here on
Okay.
Edmonton Sports Talk,
Holy, this hour goes
EdmontonSportsTalk.com.
by.
This one has been flying by. Haas, Nielsen, best bets for Week 4 in the NFL, and I'm assuming more Ryder Cup talk. And then at noon, Tommy Gazzola, Dustin Nielsen, they'll have you set for Oilers preseason game tonight and tomorrow. Dave, I know you're like me. You've hunkered down so hard to watch every minute and every second of preseason. Not Oilers,
All on
but
Oilers.
around the National Hockey
Oilers
League.
Plus as well. He's paying for all
Okay, so I'm getting ready for the Thursday nighter, and I do like the pregame show. Like I want to go because they do some cool features, and Marshawn Lynch sitting down with Barry Sanders was fun. And I go, oh, Ottawa, Toronto preseason. Nope. That's what I'm saying in my head. No, I'm not going there.
didn't
And I
get real
have not,
excited,
and
eh?
I've listened to a little bit of Oilers preseason. But I just can't do it. Like I know I should, or maybe the last game of the preseason. They're a necessary evil. I understand it.
For the
I'm not-
coaches.
right. But I can't. I just
with
can't.
Is it because we're waiting to get to the Cup final now? In terms of when I say we as Oilers fans and everything, or because I mean preseasons of the past, this was it.
But
You're-
but they don't matter to the regular season. I can
No,
go to
no.
so many players, recent and past, that have had great training camps that everyone's like, oh my god, this player. What's Brandon Perlini going to do with the Edmonton Oilers this year?
Lamborghini
What's
Perlini.
Patrick Thorson? Like, did you see Patrick Thorson's
Gleason
preseason?
for
This
the-
guy is going to absolutely dominate. And then we get to the regular season, and 2 weeks in, everyone's like, why is this guy on the roster? Yeah, because you're overvaluing preseason. It don't matter. You're the players they're going up against, even when they go up against the Stars, they're not trying.
But now it's so much more.
So-
because
Well,
of
the
where this
whole
team's at, I mean.
that it was fascinating. The whole Mark Stone thing and the conversation around that hit.
Hayden Hodgson.
Yeah. I mean, listen, Mark Stone has arrived at a place in the hockey pantheon where he can do the post game like he did, but it was funny how many people piled on like, "Hey, heads up, old man." You know?
Yeah.
Like, oh, it was just God, I don't miss that conversation around sports.
I don't miss that we didn't have to, like, we haven't here on EST haven't really broken down.
Tommy does. Tommy goes down and does the
even
Lord's
on
work.
the
Obsessed.
Yes.
But on the stage, we haven't had to break down the preseason game in depth. Well, because I think even for largely people know that the regular season is when it's
But
going to
especially
really
with this
pick
team
up.
now.
That's the
Yes,
thing.
that's the
there's
thing.
no,
That's
there's
the
not even
thing
an
with
appetite
this
for the
one
regular
now.
season. Get to the
Bonafide,
thing.
you know, presumptive Stanley Cup finalist, champion, if you want to go that far.
You don't even want that President's Trophy heat. I don't
No.
think. Keep that like just kind of just a little underneath.
Sure.
You know?
Yeah.
Eye on the
It's a good
prize.
place to be in, man.
Health.
Health.
Injuries per 60. That's
Touch
the-
wood. By the
Yeah.
way, I did not compliment you. This
Yes,
is new since the
we got it the week after, like second week 2 from your first one. We
custom.
got- No, Yvonne's Furniture.
Shout out to them.
Jay Milne, who's going to be on the Hangout
Yes.
Monday with Jed
Okay,
Roberts.
yes.
That's going to be a fun one.
You'll enjoy that one.
Came and got us these two tables.
Ask
which
Jed
looks
about
nice.
losing his Grey Cup ring in a taxi in Toronto.
I'll try to remember that.
Okay.
Beautiful. Dave, as always, thanks for coming in for the Hangout.
Thank you. God, I enjoyed this.
This flew by for 2 hours, and we'll do it again soon.
Awesome, guys.
Lieutenant Eric, Dave Jamieson, Matt Iwanyk with you here on the EST Hangout. Like I said earlier, Lock Shop coming up with Dusty and Huss, and then at noon it is the Oil Stream with Gazzola and Nielsen. Have a great weekend, and we'll talk with you later.